Three. Alrighty, everyone, and welcome back to Offset Conversations here at Automotive Anatomy podcast. Today, we have a wonderful guest who's now looking back, thinking, man, and my dirty clothes showed.
Yeah, I was like, it's my 30. No, this is my brother's room. That's why I'm at my mom's house right now.
I want that moment where, like, I think you were ready.
I was gonna go outside and with my cars, but it's too hot. And I'm like, nah, you know what? Let me use the room. He was like, all right, go for it.
No, especially where you live, man. Thank you so much for making the time for us. Today's guest, this gentleman I met a while back. First time I met him, I remember. I didn't actually get to meet him. I saw his car. I said, "Nice car, dude," and he just said, "Thank you." It was at the Cafe 86. It was the day of the court meet.
Yeah.
You pulled in with this beautiful white CB. I've never seen this car before. It looked perfect. And you parked, and you were with one of your buddies. And then you guys went to, I don't know if you got coffee or something, but I couldn't stop staring at that car, man. It was beautiful. And then I made a comment. I'm like, I think he's from San Diego. And then you reached out. I think it was through Instagram, or no, it was YouTube.
It was YouTube. I was watching your video, and you said I was from San Diego, and I was like, nah.
I wish.
Yeah, a lot colder, a lot cooler over here than over there.
And then I was like, oh shoot, dude, I might be dope to be able to interview you. You're like, yeah, I'm down. And if I'm not mistaken, at the time, FMSpec didn't exist, right?
FMSpec did not exist at that time.
Oh, okay, cool. And so, man, it's gonna be fun just catching up with you, just because you've done, holy crap. I mean, you've done a whole 180 in the sense of lifestyle builds, personal achievements. Now, you know, it's crazy. But our guest for today, Francisco Mata, I would say owner, CEO, CFO, all the O's of FMSpec, and obviously Francisco Mata. Is it a specification or specialty or both?
Specialty.
Okay, FM specialty. So Francisco Mata specialty.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun conversation because you and I have had conversations in the past, but one that I particularly want to have with you today is entrepreneurship and being a business owner, because holy crap, like there's so many pros to it. There's obviously cons that you're going to be able to share with us, but how are you today, man?
I'm good. It's just a little bit hot today over here in San Bernardino.
A little bit of hot. Good thing for you, you're able to come home whenever you can, right? I mean, whenever you want.
Yeah, other than like pretty much, if I want to go home early, I'm like, you know what? Let me ask my boss real quick.
Do you have a personal meet?
I'm like, hey,
you're around? Can I go? Not today.
Like, no, you could go home. I'm like, all right, cool.
It sounds funny that you can do that, but I know there's so much responsibility because actually you don't go home early.
Yeah, no, like I mean, a lot of people like, you know, having your own business it's easy, and you know, like you can do anything you want. It's like you're your own boss, and I'm just like, yeah, but when you're your own boss, it's just so many things. You're thinking about work the whole time, 24/7. You never stop. The only time I stopped thinking about work was when I went to Mexico. That's the first week out of the whole time I've been at FMSpec. It's just the whole week, 1 week without work. It was nice. I didn't think about work at all, which it was really relaxing and like not stressful.
Ironically, you were working. I saw you carrying stuff over there. So you were still working, but differently.
Yeah, working differently. Like now with customers, you know, with family, you know, carrying waters and.
You're the guy that goes to Mexico to relax, but then wakes up probably earlier than.
Yeah. Okay. So over there is like 2 hours ahead, right? And the first night I went to Mexico City, and it was relaxing. I didn't do nothing. I was inside the whole time. They didn't let me go out because you know how they say is like, you know, like they're gonna jack you for your money and all that stuff. I don't know. And maybe it is true, maybe it's not. I don't know. I didn't deal with that, so they didn't let me out at all. And then the first night I went to Oaxaca, it was around like 7. They're like, you know, pack up, go rest, and all that stuff. So okay. It's like tomorrow you got a long day, and I'm like, all right, cool. And my dad calls me like around 7 a.m. in their time. They're waiting for you. Hurry up. And I'm like, what do you mean they're waiting for me? Like, you never told me nothing. Like, they're waiting for you because you're going to pick up Chivos. And I'm like, oh, snaps. So, yeah, I woke up at 7, getting ready, and we went to go pick up Chivos.
Who did you go with?
It was my uncles, my grandpa, and 2 of my cousins. And it was like a 10-minute drive from our pueblo.
prior to this, you've never met these individuals, or you've known of them?
I just knew my grandpa, but I didn't know my uncles or my cousins. Like the cousins I knew, they were babies when I was like 15 and they were babies. So I was like I didn't met them at all until this year, and it's been 15 years since I've been to Mexico.
Wow.
Since I was 15, I'm 29, 14 years. But it was a good experience. Honestly, I did miss it a lot, and I'm glad I went this year.
Life's different, no?
Yeah, it's harder, dude. Like for us, like we see it and it's just like, oh, it's relaxing, and because we have money and we have all this stuff, we have all this comfort over here in the States. But over there, it's like you have nothing over there. Like you work for pesos, and pesos over there is like it's literally nothing, dude. Like 500 pesos they go by fast, and I'm just
you're really just surviving the day. Like you're not thinking like, oh, let me save up for a vacation.
Yeah, exactly. You surviving the day, and that's pretty much it. And it's just like I told my girl, I was like, like it's really nice, it's really comfortable, it's really like relaxing here. But to live here, I don't think it's something you want to do because it's so much different over there than over here.
Yeah, not definitely making pesos. It's not. But they seem to survive. They seem to find happiness.
Yeah, like I mean, they survive. They do their, like you say, they do for the day. Like someone is hiring for that day, or they're helping someone, and they give them a couple of money, or lunch or whatever, and that's how they survive the day. It's not like a lot of money, but it's something that they have kids. They give the food to the kids or stuff like that. And it's something different to see over there in Mexico than over here. It's completely different. Even like right now for the COVID-19, over there they don't care. Like they put their mask, they check everything, and it's
really,
just like, yeah. I'm like over there, like I was pretty surprised. I was the only one without the mask. I was like, oh damn, let me put my mask before. They're thinking
right.
about me. And yeah, over there is like there was one day where the vaccine bus came to our pueblo, and dude, everyone was in line. Even my uncle, that was pretty surprised because he's like pretty like hard headed, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go right. I'll be right back, Adrian." I was like, "Oh, my middle name is Adrian, so they call me Adrian over there in Mexico." I'm like, "I'll be right back, Adrian. I'm gonna get my vacuna," and I was like, "They're like, oh, the COVID." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Go for it." Because it's
wow.
it's so different over there than than here. Like over here, they make it look so political. Like if you're like
you think?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I mean, over there it's just like I think they're trying to help everyone, and it's just like everyone wearing the mask, everyone's taking temperature when they go to the stores, mask all the time. There's a lot of people mask, even in like just random like meetings with like our family. Everyone's wearing their mask, and I was just pretty surprised about that.
It's funny you mentioned that about the whole being whole political. Like it is, and I'm surprised that they were wearing masks in certain little locations. Especially, obviously, comes back to how you send out the message of um, the vaccine and what it is and what it's not. A lot of people thought it was a chip, right? Still, people think that's a chip. Other people think that it was, in Mexico, they think that it was, it's gonna kill you in some areas, right? And so other people don't have the same healthcare as we do, or that we can, get that additional assistance. So
Exactly.
It depends on how they want to interpret it, and the fact that it's like, man, like, do this vaccination, and I don't know. I mean, some people may not understand exactly how the whole vaccine thing works. Doesn't mean that you're immune to it. It means that you can still get it, but the symptoms should be less, and that you shouldn't be able to. I mean, in theory, you shouldn't be able to transmit it or spread it as easily.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I'm not sure how, but it's what they're saying is just like like you said, it's like you might get you get the vaccine, you still might get COVID, you still might get all these symptoms, but it's the less you won't go to the hospital, you won't be like overcapacity in the hospitals and stuff like that. And it's like it is true that why we're getting the COVID shot if we're still gonna get COVID, but it's just like if it's the death is lessly reduced by getting the shot, I'll take it. Because like I mean, in Mexico, my mom, like everyone, like in my family, my mom is in high risk. She has diabetes. My grandma lives here too as well, and she has diabetes. So for me to get the shot was really important and for them too, because I don't want them to get COVID and then pass away like a week or so of getting COVID. That will hurt because like it's my mom and my grandma.
Right. And You touch up on some points that a lot of people like to really hone in, like, well, I'm not going to use your mom as an example. I'll use myself. Those underlying, you
conditions.
know, yeah, health, right? Like I'm overweight. That's why it affected me a little bit worse when I actually did get COVID.
Hmm.
But I also feel that that could be a poor mentality of the, well, the strongest survive, right?
Yeah,
I got sick and I was able to, thank God I was able to go through it fairly easily. Antibiotics, shut up my system and it was good. But what about the older individual that doesn't have the same immune system? Just because I have a strong system that I'm supposed to say F it, I mean, he can just fence for himself. And
exactly.
that's where we get into the whole conversation of it. But I'm glad that you went to Mexico. I'm glad that you got some break because I know this about you. You're always at I was gonna say the office, but yeah, technically your business in the morning and you leave very, very late. And there's they say you work on Sundays, and I'm like, dude, like you also have to have a life. But you're like, well, I enjoy what I do, so it
Yeah,
makes it easier.
yeah,
And and then and you're also like always trying to meet deadlines.
yeah. No, like I mean, for me, deadlines is like sometimes I do overpass my deadlines, but usually I want to be spot on like a week or 2 weeks later than my deadlines. And usually it's not like that because things happens. It's not you put the engine and ready to go. You might have you put the engine, you might have a leak, and it's like, oh, okay, well, take it apart, stuff like that. And it's just not like a lot of people think it's just like one. The only thing when people is like, oh, I'll wait for my car, and I'm like, it's like, okay, you could wait, but I'm just saying, like I'm gonna take my time. I'm not gonna be rushed, and you're gonna be here for a cool 3 to 4 hours. If that's okay with you, I'll give you a chair. You can sit down and wait. And they're like, yeah, yeah, I can wait. And there's some people that actually wait, and I'm just like, but even then, having them, knowing them, they're still waiting. It's not a good feeling at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're over here looking, or they come inside here and peek, and it's like, oh, you're almost done, and it's just like, oh, like I said, like it's gonna take these hours, and I'm working on it, and then even then, like I had a guy. This is the guy that I did some breaks for him, and he wanted to wait. It was his break from rotors. I told him to wait within 2 hours, 2.5 hours. He's like, all right, cool. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So we did the breaks, we did everything, and when I was bleeding on brakes, it should be the brakes. Afterwards, one of the brake hoses just ripped on me. So I had to get a new hose. No one had it in stock. And I told him, I was like, hey, man, no one has it in stock. Like, you want to wait still? Like, I mean, I have one, but it's coming within 2 hours. And you can come over here and just wait, or you can come tomorrow and pick it up. He was like, no, I'll wait. So he was waiting for me to get done, and I was waiting for the part. It feels weird, like both us waiting for something that it's like I can't do nothing about. Like we were here talking about stuff, and it was just weird. Like it was a weird vibe, but
It's
yeah,
very uncomfortable, man. I think
no, yeah, it is. It is uncomfortable
it
talking to
has
go for it.
it has to be said that, and I'll say it for you. One, you have to trust the person that's doing the job, and
Hmm.
two, you have to be respectful of their privacy.
Yeah,
It's your car. We get it. Now, the difference is that the way your layout is, the
hmm,
shop is there. Like you don't
yeah,
have like a waiting area,
exactly.
and and so that's a difference. But I
Hmm.
think in general and everything, I mean, if it's within um, a reasonable time.
Yeah,
Uh, but that goes with everything, right? Like it goes like I'm wearing your shirt, FMSpec. You're wearing your own shirt, FMSpec. Um, I know that was like something that you wanted to go and try out. Not you're not making millions out of this, and we both
yeah,
know that. But
no,
but it's for you to expand and for you to show, like, hey, you're creating like a brand. But if the guy that wants to make the shirts for you, tells you a week, and then you're like 3 days into it, like, hey man, how are the shirts? How are the shirts? I told you a week, man. Like
yeah,
that's the agreement. So I think
yeah,
I'll say it for you, especially in the mechanic world. Um, I've seen some logos where it says like, $100 for the job, 150 if you ask to help, 200 if you start giving me advice, or 300 if like things like that.
yeah. I seen that, and I mean, for me to express those signs and stuff like that, I think that's like a disrespect to the customer as well. Because like I mean, although like some customers want to work on their car, and they gave up because they stripped something and it's too hard for them. They don't have the right tools or stuff like that. And I tell them up front, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna charge you a little bit more because you worked on your car. I have no idea what you did. I have no idea if you have the right bolts. I have no idea if you have everything here. And for that case, I do have the bolts. I do have all this stuff here, and I would do it, but it's gonna be to a price that, you know, I'm gonna look at it, see how much, and I'll give you a price. And if they're okay with that, by all means, we're gonna do the job. It's gonna go right. But when people see those things, those signs of, you know, you touch it, $50 more. You strip something, $100 more. You ask how to tell me a job or do this and this. It's like, yeah, you want to post them, but at the same time, as you want to show your customers some respect, like showing those signs is like, you know, like it's not like a good sign
It's not
at all.
professional.
Exactly. And it's like my teachers when I was in high school and the class will be bad and they will be like, you know, I don't have to be here. I'm getting paid no matter what. These are the teachers that will piss me off, because it's like, if you want to be here just to get paid, go somewhere else, because right now you're an example to those kids. Not everyone's gonna look up to you, but it's gonna be one kid that's gonna look up to you and be like, you know what, I want to be like him. I like his attitude. I like his, you know, the way he carries himself, the way, you know, like all this stuff. And for teachers to say, you know, like, I don't have to be here because I'm getting paid no matter what. I don't have to teach you guys because I'm getting paid or stuff like that. It's just like, it's a disrespect to the kids and to the school.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I get where you're coming from 100% from both. And the example that you gave for the educator and the example that you give for like a mechanic shop that has those type of signs. I think part of it is that balance, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay if you and I have an agreement, but I think that those things come out in signs of frustration, and that can be for both. You know, somebody can be like, "Hey, I don't have to be here. I'm getting paid," but it's not necessarily because they want to say that out loud, but it's a way for them to make themselves feel better over the kids that are being super disrespectful. It's like, dude, why am I here? You know, you question yourself. And the same thing with you, as a business owner, you know, if you as a client, let's say you are mechanically inclined or not, like I am, I say I take it to you, right? Because you are a professional. Just because you don't have a degree in that doesn't mean that you're not a professional in your field. And that's something that somebody has to understand. They can't just walk into your shop expecting you to be, you know, to drop your tools and be ready. A doctor doesn't take clients or patients like that just at the, you know, drop of a hat. They have to take it, you know, an appointment and things like that. Why? Because we respect that position of a doctor, right? You're still a professional. You're a professional in construction. You could be a professional in fast food. You're a professional or whatever job that you're doing as a cook, as a chef.
Yeah.
It's so that's number one. I think that's the reason why some people have those signs, because there's no sense of respect towards, in this case, you, the craftsman person. Yeah. And if I'm taking my car to you and I could not figure out what the issue is, I need to take a step back and let you do the work without me coming in asking questions, without me and trying to, you know, solve the issue with you, or really just be a bother, you know. And I know that that's a different conversation that you as an owner, especially as a small business owner, you don't want to come off disrespectful. Exactly. But the thing is, there are people like that have no common sense. And and that's what I'm saying for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like you said, those people that have no common sense, it's like they do have common sense. It's just a different way. It's just, how can I explain it? For me, I really don't like talking to people. Although, like, I have to work with people, like I just tell them like, hey man, like this is your problem, this is your thing, and this is gonna be it. This is the price. This is the price for labor. This is the price with parts. And if you want to get your parts, this is the price for labors and stuff like that. And it's like, and then they'd be like, oh well, you know, hook me up and stuff like that. And you know, like I'll text them like, you know, like sometimes if they're cool with me, like I know them, they're like hooking up. It's like okay, like you know, like sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Like it just depends on the people itself. And for the people that, like you say, like you don't have common sense or they stuff, it's just that their personality, in other words. It's just they like to talk, they like to be around everyone, they like to like you know, be around what's going on. They like to be like, you know, the center of attention in another sense. Like, hey man, I want this, or like they're I'm over here working and they're over here trying to talk to me and stuff like that. And it's just like, I get that. And then when people do actually do that, I'm like, hey man, like I don't want to be disrespectful at all, but like you being inside is gonna be a liability for me in the shop, because like I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to do nothing. So like, I mean, get a chair, sit outside, and then when it's done, you come in, or I call you in and we could talk about more things of the car or whatnot. And that's when they're like, oh, okay, you know, like, all right, I respect that. And if they don't respect that, I'm like, hey man, like I tell them again with a more serious voice, like, hey man, like I need you to sit outside and just stay there until I'm done with the car.
Shut the fuck up. You use your men voice. You use your outside voice.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to talk. You have to talk to them like people that you don't know, respectfully, like like in a nice way to fuck off,
Yeah.
And like, I mean, with you and like other people that I really know, like like are really close to me, like close friends. In other words, I'll be like, yeah, come in and you can use my tools, you can use all this, and I really don't care because I know who you are. I know how you carry yourself. But other people I just met, like you never know. Like I'm not saying they are, but like you don't know the idea of them. Like like, oh, I'm gonna slip right here and just cause a scene, or I'm gonna take this part or whatnot. Like that's why it's like,
yeah.
Sometimes it's like having people inside the shop or having them outside will be the best bet. And like, or it's just the people that talk and want to be around those cars, like me working and him looking. Like I tell them up front, like, hey man, like I can't be having you here around because you're distracting me. You're in my way. I'm not gonna get nothing done. And for you just to sit down outside would be better. And we can get everything faster like that. And they're like, okay, cool. Like I can sit outside.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it goes back to that, like the common sense. Like if somebody has to have that conversation with you, it's like it's like it's embarrassing. And what I like, not that I like, but what I think I find humorous is that then they get upset. It's like they get upset for you, like dude, like but again, I like to think that I have somewhat common sense, right? And so that's the reason I would not do that to you if you tell me like, hey man, like can you just step outside? And at some point I have to be like, oh shoot, like I guess I was overstaying my my stay, and so I am in your personal space, and so you are working, and so that's the thing, man. Like when you took care of Jackie, like I mean, I trusted you 100%. From step one of telling me like, okay, what is it that you want to do? So that guidance, right? Of like, okay, well, let's chat about what direction you want to take your part. Number two, part selection. If I try to go get the parts, I'm gonna screw it up, right? Because I don't know the difference between an EX and a LX. Let's say, just as an example, control arm. It's the same, or let's say an automatic to manual starter. Like I could not know that they're two different starters. I'm like, what's the difference? I found this starter on eBay, so I'm doing my 5-speed swap, and you're like, this is automatic. Oh, what's the difference, right? And so from that step, the guidance to you collecting all the parts, you took leadership in that. You said, hey, I'm gonna get all the parts ready for you. This is gonna be the bill. This is where I'm getting the parts. You're more than welcome to get them yourself, but I suggest if you don't know what you're looking for, let me do it for you. Again, so full trust on that, and then eventually the labor part of it, where you were good at giving me updates and say, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, by the way, your rack and pinion is leaking. Let's switch it because otherwise you're gonna have issues with that. Well, that wasn't part of the first agreement, but I have to trust that you are being honest, and go ahead and replace it. Or I can say, you know what, nah, leave it like that, and you're gonna be like, okay. Don't be surprised when it starts leaking, a week later, or that control arm bushing goes out even worse, etc., etc. I mean, it goes back to the trust and that letting you do your job as a professional.
And that's what, like I was telling you, like how quote customers is like, there's 3 parts of quoting. For example, it could be, as I'm talking to customers, which I get a lot of DMs, is like, hey, how much to K24 swap on the cord? And it's like with those DMs, I really don't text them back as well, because it's just like they're just trying to talk to me, or
window shop.
Yeah, they're trying to like get prices, and like, I mean, they're really not serious about it, because if they knew a K24 swap on anything, it's expensive. You're talking the legit way, like everything correct, everything like not good parts, but everything like done right with having
quality.
Quality. You'll be spending at least like from $8,000 to $9,000. And like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to your question, your question, but I'm gonna talk about something too. It's like a lot of people, it's just things that a K swap anything, it's a lot easier because of YouTube. All these people, they have sponsorships, they have money, they have all these stuff, and it's just they make a K24 K swap anything so simple, like, and they make it look like if anything's possible, because like they have sponsorship, they get everything. Not, let's say they don't get anything for free, but they do get a good discount, and it's just like for them it's like so easy. It's like, oh, my K swap was cost me like $3,000. Yeah, $3,000, and it's just like, oh, people think like, oh, I could do a K swap for $3,000 too, and it's like you could like, there's no question asked. But the thing is it gonna last? is it gonna perform as well? Is it gonna do all these stuff that you want and not break down within a week or days? And it's like, no. If you want good quality, you get a good swap, you're gonna spend money on it. And to your question, like I was saying about people asking me how much for this and how much for quotes, like I told you, there's I give out 3 quotes: one with parts and labor, one with labor, and one with if he brings his parts. Because if customers bring their parts, like I had problems with this a lot of time. Like starting, customers like, oh, I'll bring my part, and I'm like, okay, you bring your part. Me naive, being like, oh, they're gonna get the right part the first time, and it's like they bring the parts, and it's like, hey man, you got the wrong part. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna do something else. Hey man, you got the wrong. Everything is wrong, pretty much. So I'm wasting my time having the car in the lift, having the car somewhere in the shop. It's wasting my time and customers' time. And it's like for me to have your car pushing out and in the shop, it's time. Like I don't want to be pushing the whole time. And it's just like usually now it's like if you bring your parts, that's on you. It's gonna bring the labor cost is gonna go a little bit higher because you never know. They might order the wrong part. The part they order might be defective and all these stuff, And if I have the parts with the parts and labor, like that's my end. Like I'm charging you for that service. Like the first time I'm gonna get that part, it's gonna be the right one. And if it comes defective, that's on me. I'm gonna do it again because you know what, the part came defective, and I'm gonna do you solid. But it's just different.
Now, before we continue with that, there's obviously going to be somebody who they're always going to depict the conversation in their own way. They're going to have their own beliefs and values and perspective. And so I know you said something like, hey, with somebody who just says a quote, like a very broad question, you're like, I try not to pay too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Let me, if I may, dissect that a little bit more for somebody who may be thinking, well, that's such a effed up move, right? Like, how that's rude, you just have to understand, like, we have a one-man band. That's what happens when it comes to small business. Not only is FMSpec run by one individual, but the mechanics of it, he does it. The booking, he does it. Booking is extremely important.
Yeah.
Ordering of parts. The fact that he may be having conversations with 1 to 20 possible customers. How about the ones that already laid down a deposit? He can't mess those orders up, and so that requires attention. Invoice, all those. I mean, it's just goes on and on. Where yes, maybe a shop near you has the time to explain to you because that one specific person only works in the office. He doesn't wrench, right? And so the mechanic doesn't have to deal with that call because he just wrench. So there's 2 different. And so that's, I think, extremely important for somebody to know that he's only a one-man band, and so it gets extremely difficult and stressful.
Exactly, and it's just like for those people that DM me, I don't want to be rude or stuff like that, but it's like if you do want a DM answer, just be specific. Hey man, I have a 1990 Honda Accord. I want to make it into a 5-speed. These are the parts I have. This is my budget. What can we do? And there's people that's like, hey man, how much to make it 5-speed? And it's like, okay, well, what do you want? Like, do you have all the parts? And when it comes like that, it's just like, I really don't want to get into it because it's not that I'm trying to be messed up, but it's just like, I have other time to spend, like, I'm working on cars. And it's just like, instead of texting multiple times to this guy, I'm spending like an hour on this guy. He might be serious about it and, like, okay, let's do it. But there's sometimes it's like, oh, okay, thanks, man. And that's it. Like, I give him the price and he's like, thanks. And then I never heard from him again. It's just like, for other like big shops, is like they, like you said, they have either 1 or 2 people answering DMs like, okay, how much for this? And it could be just a broad question: how much to K24 Civic? Not even the year of the Civic, not even what model of the Civic, nothing. It's just like, how much to K-swap a Civic? And then that's what customers is like, like usually that's when I didn't text back because it's like, if you didn't have the time to tell me what year or like all that stuff, is like, he's not either serious or not interested. He just wants to, like, just
window shop.
Test the waters. Another window shop.
I think part of it is going back to common sense. You don't have common sense to be specific about what you're trying to do. Like, you can't read your mind.
And there was a guy that always stick to me. He ranted it out. He did a Facebook rant on about that. It's like, about like hit like I'm just a one man guy. Like I do all this. I talk to my customers. I rent. I do all this stuff, and it's for people to tell me how much to do this, how much for a paint job, how much for just this, how much for that. And it's just like with no details, with no specific, no budget, no nothing, like just the broad questions. Is like I'm not gonna answer back because for you didn't have the time to explain everything in detail. Like I'm not gonna give you my time to tell you everything in detail. And that's why it's just like I use that in my head, and I was just like after that it's just like if customers tell me like in detail like hey Francisco, I have this car, I want to do this, I want to do this, what would be the quote, what would be the cost, what would be something like that. And I'm like, okay, like this guy had the time to answer, write me a DM and write me questions and details. Like, okay, I'm gonna have the time to text him back and like work something out because he is serious, he is interested, and it's just not window shopping like other people do. And it's like it's something it's sad to say that, but I mean it's just like in reality, it's like I don't have the time to just talk to everyone in my DMs. It's just like I want to talk to everyone, trust me, but it's just like I don't got the time for it because either I DM someone and I have to do this, or I'm doing this and my phone's getting blown up, or vice versa. And it's just like it's really hard for me to do everything at once.
Yeah, that's why I thought I needed to bring that out. And yeah, I think education, politeness also goes a long way. I mean, I get a couple DMs here and there, like, "What's your wheel specs?" I feel like, okay, if I have a question about your car, first of all, I mean, if you don't know the wheel specs and you haven't seen like the 300 freaking comments I've left in every single picture I have a picture of a wheel. Two, you don't follow the channel. Like you could get all the information about my car, no problem. So that tells me that you're lazy, right? Because you don't want to even do the research. I mean, it takes 5 clicks, and then you're like, oh, this guy has that car. Oh, okay, cool. He has a YouTube channel. Oh, playlist. You're starting. Oh, there it is. I mean, you don't want to do that. You just want to get the answer and be out of your way. Yeah. So, and then you, in a way, are very disrespectful by just DMing somebody like you know them. Like, hey, how's it going? That's all it takes for me to be like, oh, okay, cool. I'll be honest with you. I think 7 out of 10 times I still respond just because I'm like, whatever, man. Just here's the answer. But there are times that maybe I may be feeling like it's just randomly, and I'm like, I'm not gonna answer.
There's some times that you feel bad, not feel bad, but it's like, I want to talk to them. Like, like if I was in their position, I wish he texted me back. Like when I was younger at that time, like in the forums, CB7 tuner. That's where I would be at the whole time. No one took me seriously because I had like it was just you have like
no one still takes you serious for.
No one still takes me seriously, but like I mean at that time it was just like I will answer a question like like hey, like I need help, blah 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 blah, and it was just coming like like have you done this, and it's like okay, like cool, but there were like more specific questions that we like then no one will text me back, and I'm just like I'll feel bad, like. And that's why sometimes I do text back to customers that just like like or people that just give me like a broad question or wheel specs too. There was a whole year where everyone would ask me like what are my wheel specs, and I like just for being nice I would text them like I had a copy and saved. I would just copy it and paste it and send it to them. Like if they want to keep that info, good. If not, oh well. They usually won't text me back afterwards. I send them, but like I felt good sending it to them because like I mean it's just like. Yeah, like it makes you feel good in the sense.
Yeah, you're doing it for you in the sense of like, okay, I'm not gonna be a DICK, but you should send them the link for my interview so that I can get more views. Yeah, like that. Well, speaking of that, I mean, we definitely went into FMSpec, and I'll get back to it. I have other specific questions about it, just because being an entrepreneur and the fact that I mean, this
it's a hard thing. Like trust me, like I mean, right now, like I started in 2020. When the pandemic hit, January, February, March were good times. Like like everyone, they were all good times. Honestly, the whole year 2020 was good because of the what's it called, the check, like stimulus check, like I mean, I was pretty happy about it, but still, like I still had the worry of like, what if that customer comes and gives me COVID, and then I go home and I give COVID to my whole family. That was still the worry of me in 2020. And like right now, I'm still learning from being a business owner. Like I'm still like, you know, right now I'm doing my budgeting, like where to spend my money and how to spend my money and all that stuff. And it's not something that you learn. Like I went to Cal State San Bernardino, and I took nothing for business, like at all. And for me, to someone, when they were like, all right, let's do taxes, I'm like, do what? Taxes. And for me, the taxes were not a 1040, it was a 1099. So I had to use everything, what I spent for my business, what I use for my shop, what I use for personal stuff, what I use for gas, food, and stuff like that. And it was just no one taught, like no one teach you that. Like, I mean, I think that should be something like in high school, you know, you teach basic of taxes, because like taxes is like something that you don't want to mess with, because the IRS could like seize your bank account, could take all your assets, and you're left up paying them, and then you will get your assets too. But like, I mean, you're still gonna be like paying them back and stuff like that. So for me, being a business owner is something that I'm still learning. I'm learning little things here and there, like something that will make me easier to, like, for example, like money to have for just the shop, like overhead and all that stuff. It's something that is just like no one talks about. Like everyone's like, oh, you have a shop, oh, that's cool, like you can do yourself, like you can do anything you want. It's just like no, like I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can do anything I want, but it's just like it's not something I want to do, because it's gonna affect me in the future, and you never know what's gonna happen within 2 3 days or 5 days, because everything goes so fast in the world that you have no idea what's gonna happen.
Yeah, the most definitely important, man. So that's crazy. And you're right. Financial literacy has to be taught, has to be talked about, and especially if you're gonna go and try to venture into your business. But on that note, obviously you did not wake up one day and say, when you were in third or fourth grade, you're like, oh, let me become a business owner. That obviously came in the future. So let's take a step back, man. Like, how were you as a kid? Like, where were you born? And how were you in school? Did you like school?
So, so I was born here in San Bernardino, and I was raised in San Bernardino. So my whole time was in San Bernardino. And for do I like school? That's no. In short, I do not like school. But you know,
Shortest podcast. All right, we're done.
it's canceled. But that's it. I'm done with school. No, you know, school was a thing that, you know, like it was planted by my parents. You know, you do good in school all this time, you know, you're gonna get paid good. You're gonna get a good job, all this stuff. Do good in school, because everything you do is gonna be in the record, and all this stuff, you know. So for me, it was hard for me, school. I'm not gonna lie. Elementary school was nice. I felt first grade. I mean, I
how,
had this.
how nice was it? You got to redo it all.
It was
Oh,
pretty
shit.
bad. It was pretty bad. Well, my mom put me in. I was in a bilingual class. Well, kinder and preschool, I was in a Spanish class. So my first language was Spanish, and then my mom had the bright idea to put me in all English class. So for me, to all Spanish to all English, like I didn't understand nothing. So they failed me for that, and so I took Spanish. I took bilingual classes until I was sixth grade, and then from there it was fine. It was good. I got past all my classes. I had decent grades. I'm not gonna say I was a smart guy and nothing like that. I would have B's and C's and D's and F's. Like I'll get the whole thing. A easy classes, F's on the hardest classes. High school was a good experience in high school. Like I'm not gonna, I had a good time. Like everyone.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Pacific High School.
Pacific High, and so that's in Riverside. San Bernardino area.
You know, yeah, it's like 2 minutes away from my house. Like I just came walking the whole time. And in high school, like it was a time of you know, like you learn what you want to do and stuff like that. And what in high school taught me is just like I wanted to work with my hands, because during that time in high school, my first year I had a class called Avid. I'm not sure if you know about Avid, but Avid is like it's like a classroom that prepares you to go into college and stuff like that. So my whole freshman, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, it was all Avid. I had Avid, and my other classes were just math and stuff like that. But since sophomore year, junior, and uh, and senior, I had a class called automotive basically. So teach you work on cars and stuff like that. And that class was my favorite class. Like I would go to that class. I would take summer school just to go to that class. It was fun, because like they'll make you work on cars. They'll make you do simple stuff. At the time, like simple stuff is not simple, like do brakes, do
Right.
spark plugs, like all these stuff. Like you have no idea how to do it. You just wrenching and you might be tying it, but you're losing it, or you're tying it, and you're over torquing and you're stripping and stuff like that. So for me, that class was what's good. Like I love that class. But then my Avid class around my senior year, they were like, okay, you only take one. I remember if it was semester or I think it was semester. You only take one automotive shop for the first semester, and then the second semester you're gonna do something else because you're taking it too much and it's not helping you out. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, so they put me in into like AP classes and stuff like that. And dude, like I failed all the classes. I'm gonna be straight up. And on my junior year, they put me AP History, AP English. They put me all the hard classes. And I'm a dumbass dude. Like I hate how to I like for me like to speak English, like I can't pronounce it right, like I can't speak right. And to put me in AP English, like I was just like really like I'm gonna be stressful. Like I went to the vice principal. I'm like, hey man, like can you take me off AP English? They were like, nope. I'm like, why not? Like you did so good on sophomore year English, and you could do good on your junior year. If I was like, yeah, but like that wasn't me. Like I was getting help and stuff like that. And they were like, I was struggling in that class. And they're like, no, you could do it, blah, 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 blah. And then in my junior year, there was a field trip called College Week. So pretty much you take a whole week and explore all these colleges in Avid. You go to Humboldt, you go up all the way up north, San Francisco, San Diego. You go like all these colleges, right? And at that time, AP English, I had an F on it. And the thing is, to go to that field trip, you have to be passing your classes with C's or higher. So I had an F on English and I had a D on algebra or something. And the algebra teacher was like, hey man, I know you're an avid. I'm gonna give you a C for the week. So you could go. Yeah, so you could go. And I'm like, hell yeah, let me talk to my English teacher, like see if she'll hook me up like that too, right? And she was like, nope, 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 nope. So I missed.
It
It was a good because like I mean, for college, for me it was pushed on my parents. Like they were like, you need to go to college. You gotta go to college. What college are you going to? Blah 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 blah. And for me, like college was not something I wanted to go to. But at the same time, I didn't want to go to community college because I know myself. Like community college will put me in that sense of like comfort. Like I would just go to classes, and if I pass, oh well. Like if not, oh well. Like like I knew myself, like in the sense that if I go to community college, I would be there for the longest. So what I told my teacher, I was like, hey, like is there any way I go to a 4-year university? Because I was not getting accepted by no one. And she was like, let me talk to Cal State San Bernardino, see if they will let you go in and see what are the requirements for you to do to get into college. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. So she came back with the requirements. So like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to pick up your classes for this, you grade on this. So that's what I did. Because my parents were like, you need to go to college, you need to set an example on your brothers that you could go to college, anyone would go to college. So that's what I did. I went to college and I went to Cal State University for 6 years. 6 years. And at this day, like I still get mad that I took 6 years of my life to go to university. But in like
retrospect.
In retrospect, yeah, like I'm glad I did because that's where I met Carol. I had more open-minded. Like I could see the world in different things. Like I could still see it like in this part. Like people think of this, or you have disagreement, and you think in both ways. Like it's like you could see in other words. Like you could like comprehend both sides of what they're talking about. Because a lot of people is just like one side or then one side, and it's just like
whatever you feed yourself, you're gonna hold on to that belief.
Yeah,
but
and yeah, like I mean, and I did college just for my parents because in my head, like I didn't want to do all this. Like 6 years, I could have done this. Like I could have just because I was really like into cars like since I was like 15, like since I was little. And anyways, like my mom would give me like little cars, and I'll open them to see what's inside them, like the battery, the little motors, and I would never put them back together, but I would just buy cars and open them, and that's pretty much that's the interest I took at a small age. Like I was just into cars the whole time, and like going to college, like I graduated with criminal justice, and I tried to apply for criminal justice for 3 years straight, and those 3 years I was getting denied because of my background. Like I had a job where like I didn't quit the legal way. I just didn't show up. I didn't call, and I just left it at that. Like I didn't show up. I didn't do nothing. I just left and called it a day. And then they were like, okay, well, we need your background, where you worked, all this stuff. And I told them, and they were like, okay, well, you're not gonna get accepted because you don't have integrity, you don't have all this stuff. And I was like, okay, cool, like whatever. So after applying for that, the first year, I was sad because I was like, like I did all this for nothing. Like I didn't have no speeding tickets. I didn't drink. I didn't do
felony.
Like all these like things that you have fun at your 20s, like young 20s, young 18s, or 18 to 20 or whatever, 21. You have all this time. You go out with your friends and stuff like that. And like I was the guy of like I'll blow off my friends like, hey, let's go here, let's go there, and I'm like, no, man, I'm gonna stay home and work on my car, because that's something that I like to do, like just work on cars, and that was.
It's fun. Okay, so the I wish doesn't exist, and so that's something that you want to get some water. You can go some water.
No, I'm good, bro.
Okay, the wish doesn't exist, and the thing is, like, obviously now as a business owner, like you get to see the benefits of that, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, though, it is true. Like, a lot of people do push college like it's the eighth wonder of the world. It's not for everybody. There are specific majors that require that, and if that's what truly you want to do. Now we get into a whole conversation of, like, are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for your parents, or for whatever, or for the style, the symbol, or the status symbol, right? Yeah. However, you went for criminal justice. In those 6 years, though, it also did teach you stuff that, in the grand scheme of things, I guess they don't get you money, but they get you responsibility, structure. Yeah. You started something, you finished something, and that's what's something that, again, in the grand scheme of things, people may blow it off, but the education that you receive and you accomplish, no one's ever going to take that away. No. And it sounds cliche, like, okay, I'm making $8 million a year, bro, and I don't have a high school degree. You can have that satisfaction of your bachelor's degree, but you just mentioned it. Like, we come from humble beginnings, humble backgrounds, where college was not it wasn't something that other students have. That, oh, which one do you want to go? It's not even a question if you're going to go. For you, just getting into there was a challenge. Going to that, not knowing exactly what to do next was a challenge. And so it's extremely important for people to understand that not everyone's going to be great for college. It's good if you try. It's okay if you drop out. It's okay if you drop out many times and you go back. But it wasn't in your it didn't mold the future that you envisioned.
Yeah, and for me, college was, like I said, I did it for my parents. I didn't do it for me. I did it for my parents because they were my parents. My dad the most is like, he used to tell me, like, hey, like, you're not gonna work, you're not gonna do nothing like that, because I'm gonna be paying all of this. I'm paying your food. I'm paying all this. All I want you to do is graduate college, and that's all I'm asking. Like, you don't have to do all this stuff. You don't have to do nothing. And because I was working at Rice, like, all that money you're making, you could save it, you could spend it. I don't care, but I just want you to graduate college. And since I was little, it's like college. And for me to not go to college and just not do college, just like, it'll be disrespectful to my parents in a sense. And I did it for them. Like, I'm not gonna say I did it for myself. I didn't do it for status. I didn't do nothing for that, because I was the student of, I'll go class, I'll go home. I'll go class, I'll go home. Like, I had no participation in going to college. Like, there will be like festivals, there will be parties, there will be all this stuff, and I'll be like, peace, I'm going home. Like, fuck you, college. Like, I'm out. Like, college was, for me, was like one of the, like, not stressful, but like, it was something that I did not like of my life. Like,
yeah, you didn't enjoy it. It was just, it was like almost like an additional 6 years of high school. Like someone's telling you have to go.
Exactly. And I was to the point where I was just like in my 5th year, like I had no idea. Like the fucked up thing the messed up thing about my college experience is like I was going to college in the dark. Like my first 2 years, like my sister and I were the first ones to go to college. So like for us it was like everything was like thrown at us, like financial aid, like you have to fill up this, like there was no help. My parents didn't know nothing. Like I mean, like Dad, what is your this? How much you made this? I'm like, I don't know. Like look it up. And I'm like, all right. Or we looked through his tax files, and you made this that day, you made this that year, or whatnot. Like for us, it was just thrown for me, and my sister, and my sister was the one paying attention and all that stuff. And I was just copy everything off her, but still, like it was still like we would both be trying to look something up. And my first 2 years, like, and this is where I messed up. Like this is where I did messed up. Like my first 2 years were the classes that I wanted to choose. Like that looks fun, I'm gonna take it. That looks fun, I'm gonna take it. That looks fun, I'm gonna take it. And I had no idea about your GEs, your requirements, or all that stuff. So the first 2 years I went, and then for one reason, like I had registration with my sister at the same time. And she was just like, I'm already done with registration. She's like, how are you not getting these classes? I'm like, what that's what you're talking about. She was like, you need your pause. Pause is like it's like a guidance of what classes you need to take for that year or requirements and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what is pause? She's like, you serious? Like, you don't know what pause? I'm like, serious. I have no idea what's pause. She was like,
shoot.
So like 2 years, like I was just taking classes of anything I want. Like there was no GEs. I was taking classes of philosophy. Like I was taking classes for just like that looks fun. Like I'm gonna take it. Like and that really messed me up. And like I was behind 2 years already. So I was like, fuck. Like all those classes I took was like only like 3 classes out of those 2 years were just some GEs. So that's it. And like I mean, what also messed me up is that my counselors, they would like schedule me in. They will have a hold, and they will be like, "You need to talk to us to get to see where you're going at." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I'll schedule a date, and they will email me back. They're like, "Hey, I'm not in class for this whole week. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take off your hold, and you go apply for your classes." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So it went for like that for 5 years. I didn't talk to no one about my classes. I didn't have nothing about my classes. So there was like my 5th year. I was like, everyone was graduating. My sister graduated, and I was just like, where am I? Like I was like, am I close to graduating? Am I just wasting my time here? What am I doing here? So I made an appointment to talk to one of the counselors, and they were like, okay, so what are you majoring? And I was like, criminal justice. And she was like, you have a lot of art classes. Are you sure you want to major in criminal justice? And I'm like, yes. And she was like, you graduate with the minors in arts. And I'm like, no, I just want to get done with school, and that's it. Like, I don't want to be here another year or two. And she was like, just tell me where I'm at. Like, am I close enough to graduating? Am I not? Like, cause I was already fed up with college for 5 years. Like I was like wasting my time. I couldn't get a full-time job because of school and all this stuff. So I was just like fed up. I was like, I want where am I, like exactly where am I at? And she was like, okay, well, you need 1 year more to graduate. And I'm like, are you sure it's only 1 year? She was like, if you pass all the classes, it's gonna be 1 year. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I'll do another year, because I already did 5th year, like 5 years, like what year is not that much. So I did the last year, and that's when I graduated Cal State. Wow. Yeah.
I can hear your frustration, dude. I can even just thinking about it now, like you already went through that experience. It's just, yeah, I think the metaphor that you used was perfect. And we went to the college in dark. You mentioned you took classes that were fun, and ironically, that's what college is supposed to be. It's supposed to be another, 2 years in general elective of you exploring, different things. Mm-hmm. Now that could be possible for someone who is of wealth and doesn't have to worry about financial stability. He or she doesn't have to worry about necessarily degree. We know that there's individuals out there in the world, either they come from old money or that their parents have very good income, they have connections, they have a business. So really, they're just going to school just to say they're going to school, but they're there to party at a particular
and
certain
have fun.
classes
Yeah, and
and
for us,
have fun.
it was different because for me, it's like my dad wasn't paying my stuff. Like I had bills. Like at a young age, like I was pretty dumb enough to get credit cards and spend them on. So like I need to pay them back.
Well,
And
let me pause you on that
mhm,
because I think the language has to change on that. I don't think you were pretty dumb. You didn't have that. Like, it was the same thing as college. You didn't have that guidance. You didn't know. I had the same conversation with Rob. He went from a 17% car loan to a zero. What? Because we know, and again, now that you and I know what that means, now we can see like, oh, that was a pretty poor decision. If you
yeah,
see an 18-year-old, you know, you're 20 something, I'm 30. If you see an 18-year-old racking up credit card debt, you can say, hey, by the way, you're gonna have to pay that back plus interest. And if you don't, that's gonna mess up your credit. For
yeah,
them, they can be like,
yeah. Like
what?
oh, like
What are you talking about? Like, you know, and then maybe they choose to do it, maybe they chose. So it's not that you were dumb. I think it's just we definitely have to, you know, clean up that mentality because
yeah,
in a sense, you, college student, are going against, you know, sometimes high school students are going against a multi-billionaire company, which is banks, advertisements, and all this stuff. And the whole idea is to keep in this bubble and this cycle of debt and pay off interest and live upon the FICO score and about the credit score and about all these different scores that measure where you're at. And so if they keep you in debt, they're going to keep you giving you more money. It's not like no one, at least to my knowledge, no one in the credit bank system send somebody to discuss this with somebody and say you're making poor decisions. No, they send a collector to let you know
yeah,
that you owe us money, but that's because of the system. So I don't think it was that. It's just necessarily you lack the information that now
yeah,
you do know.
yeah. And like getting back to it, like I mean, like you said, people are having fun. Like kids, I'm not gonna say which ones or whatnot because we don't know what background they are or whatnot. But the wealthy kids,
White kids, just saying. Just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
the wealthy kids will have.
I met some Indian kids that are very well.
They would drive in with their jeeps, with nice cars, you know, like going into college,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like, damn, like for them, their college experience was different to mine,
Super.
and like for me, college was like I need to get it done. Like I want to get it done because I want to start working already. I need to make money because of my poor decisions of what I did in my past or whatnot. So for me, graduating college was what's like not even graduating, just getting out of college was like a big like I need to do it faster because I need to start working. Like I graduated in 2017. I think I was 20, 25, 25, 24. I don't remember, but I was already in age. So for me to not have a full-time job, not having money, like because I would see my high school friends like having a full-time job, like a 40, like a 9 to 5, and they would have all these cars. They would rent out houses and all this stuff, and I'm just like, damn, like I'm over here still living with my parents, and I don't even have money like that. Like, you know, I'm still just with my damn Hondas, like all like breaking apart and driving there like once a week because like something breaks down or stuff like that. And that was making me feel bad because like I was not in the way I want. I was not I couldn't see myself like there already. So I was just like, I need to hurry up. I need to make money. I need to do this. And looking at that right now, like it made me look like, you know, like I was desperate in a sense for money. And that was money, it makes you make desperate because like you do all these stuff for you could overwork yourself for a little money, and it's just like, damn, like you will look back to yourself and it's like I did that much for this much. And I just like that was an experience for me that's like I was desperate. Like I was like, I need desperate for money. I was doing this, just doing that. Like
You suck somebody's for money.
not there. Come on, bro. Like, not in that sense. Like I was desperate to work for it. And
No, no. Okay, so it's funny you mentioned that because you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, we haven't even talked about cars and where you're at in this whole sense, but the funny thing is like we don't know the again going back to a wish doesn't exist and what if doesn't exist. the thing is, I experienced that same thing. You know, I'm going to college, I'm paying this school, I'm not making money. I can't get a full-time job. And meanwhile, my peers that are going and went straight to just, you know, a job or two jobs, they got a brand new car and they're looking at me like, how's that college thing working out, right?
Yeah.
So you do get that sense of like, okay, when is this return upon investment supposed to happen? Like you don't know, right? And but then the other side to it, those people that go straight to a job that don't go to college are looking at you like you know what you're doing. You know, so it's like it goes both ways. You're like looking at them like, hey, you're already making money, and they're looking at you like, damn, that fool's going to college. Like, because working at a job is different than working with people at the job, and you most of the time you hate the people you work with. And yes, you're making money, but you're absolutely dreading having to go back to that job. Mm-hmm. And so when they see you go to college and you go get your classes, you're like, damn, that dude's been putting the work for the last 6 years. Now he's done. Now he could potentially get a job that, one, pays better, two, it's not a strain on their body, and three, for the most part, you get to work with people that are a little bit more, not necessarily educated, but just, you know, nicer, as opposed to, you know, I've worked in fast food and people were like crazy, you know, but that's fast food. So I think it definitely goes both ways on that end, man.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, like you said, like, it's just a different experience. Like you said, like seeing them at a young age working two jobs or one job is like they're having brand new cars, and they're moving out of their parents' house and they're getting a house, and it's just like you're seeing that, and it's just like really like I'm doing all the way that's supposed to tell me, you know, what school told me, don't do this, go to college, do all this stuff, and you'll be successful, you know, like. And now I'm seeing it like, yeah, like I had the chance to open my shop. I have all this stuff, and like, you know, it's good. Like I like it a lot because like I'm living myself and stuff like that. But it's like I could have done that at a young age and get. But the thing is, I was talking to one of my friends about this too as well, and it's like, yeah, you could have done it at a young age, but not with the experience of college, because like that made you open like responsibilities, how to carry yourself, how to see money, and how to do all this stuff. Like you suffer 6 years, not suffer. For me, it was suffer. I hated college.
I think we grasped that from the last 30 minutes of your conversation. Yeah, you hate college.
Oh my god!
Con odio jarocho.
I'll go college like I was literally for one class, and if I had a 20-minute break, I
bet to this day you like drive by your college and just flip him off. Like, what is that guy do? He comes back every single day and he flips us off and gets on his oily car and drives away. What's up with that guy?
I mean, it was an experience for me.
Well, you know,
and like, continue.
The conversation that you had with your friend, you know, somebody might be saying, well, you don't need college to open up your shop. I think let me add again, let me dissect it if I may, and add a little bit more of it, which is, and I had this conversation with one of the gentlemen I interviewed. He runs the Monrovia alignment shop, and he said the same thing, dude. He's like, dude, I went to college, and now looking back, like, I wish I would have quit earlier. I wish I would have started my business. I wish doesn't exist. Part of it is this, though. One thing that we need to stop doing is, in my personal opinion, is the dreading, the wishing of something, because we always do that when it's to our benefit, right? Like if you were with, you know, you never say, oh, I wish I'd stay in that job for 6 more years that I completely hated. No, you're thinking, oh, after I left that job, I came to this job. I wish I'd come here sooner. So the way we have that conversation. So the fact is, yes, I get it, Francisco. You wish you would have started your shop sooner. However, the way things align in your life, that's the way they had to happen. Because maybe, just maybe, you start your shop at 19 years old, right? And you treat your shop just like you treated those credit cards, just like you treated community college. The help was there, the resources were there, but you didn't have all the information. So you're going to just go head on and see what happens. You could have had a lot of mistakes along the way. You could have had, you know, liabilities along the way. You wouldn't have known how to, you know, balance a checkbook. You're 19, you're 20, you're trying to figure it out. So you try that. You open up your shop and it folds within a month. Yeah. Well, there you go. I guess I'm not a business owner. No, not necessarily. you didn't have the right tools. And what maybe you didn't take a single college class of a business management or mechanic, but throughout those 6 years, you did something that we don't think about, which is mature as an individual, period. You're now 25, you're not 19. And so I know your story, so we'll get to that. You didn't go and open up the shop right after college. You went and got yourself a 9 to 5. And it wasn't until later on that the scary idea of saying, yeah, have you thought about opening up your shop? That's a whole different conversation. So now that it worked out to your benefit, you're like, oh, I wish I would have started sooner. But that's not the way it would have,
Yeah.
And we see that with a lot of entrepreneurs. We see that with a lot of, people that, they go back at 50 years old to get their college degree because it's important to them and because they want to do a specific job that requires a degree. And maybe they're happy, and that's their calling. And not one is better than the other, but it is important for us to know, like, yeah, I also wish I didn't work at fast food for 5 years before I was able to work for a school district. But you know what? During those 5 years, I was able to get through schooling. I was able to learn, a lot of different things, mature, meet different people. And one thing also, that all your previous jobs have a lot to do with what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You quit without doing it, I guess, the proper way, right?
Yeah.
That was a learning experience. And now you're using that now, people skills, all these different things that we don't think about, but it all it ties in as you, the mature, the individual.
Exactly. Because like I was talking to my friend about this, like, I wish I had quit school. I wish I wouldn't go to college and I would have been opening my shop and I would have been here. But we were talking like, you were like, no, you wouldn't. And I was like, and I was still hard-headed, like, well, why not? Like, I know how to do this. I knew, like, not at a young age, I knew how to do what I'm doing right now. But I would have got there. Like, I would have just thrown myself into that and I would have been there. He was like, yeah, no. Like, I mean, like you said, it was like my credit card, like I was not smart enough how to deal with credit cards. I knew about my interests. I knew nothing about it. I was just free credit card. You apply, you qualify. This much, got it. Like, boom, car parts. And like, it's just like, now that I look at it, it's like, yeah, like if I would have my shop at a young age, like who knows, like I would have like lasted or like been successful or whatnot. Like it could have folded in a month or two, or it could have folded in a year. And it's just like, now that I'm seeing all these benefits of being a shop right now, it's like, yeah, I wish I would have done this sooner. But it's like you said, it's like I'm matured. I've looked at things differently now. Like I still spend my money, but not in the sense of like I'm gonna be broke within 2 days and eat nothing. And it's just like I know what to do now. Like, I mean, it's like it's now I know how to like, do I need it or do I want it? It's just like, I need it. Okay, I need it. Do I want it? No, but it's still in the back of my head. Like, if I could afford it, if something came in good, like, like bonuses or stuff like that, it's like, yeah, I will get it. But like, just now it's just like, like it's a whole different thing now. It's just like, now how I look at it is like, mostly all the money I get, I put it back into the shop, buy tools, I buy this. Like, I have so many like things that I never thought I would own, like since I was like younger. Like when I was 19, like I would see, like there was a show called show network called Spike, and and on the weekdays, Saturday and Sunday, there was something called like there was a shows called hot horsepowers, trucks, and all these stuff. And it's like, like corporations making cars like into nice cars, they have the welders, they have air tools, they have all this stuff. And me seeing this at a young age was like, yo, I want to do this. I want to get all this stuff. And like now that I see it now, it's just like, I have compressors, I have tools, I have all this stuff, I have a welder, I have all this stuff. And I just see myself and I was like, damn, like if I was younger and I would have opened the shop, I wouldn't be here. Like I would have not used my money. I would use my money on stupid stuff, probably on my car still. And like the car would have been there, like just the car doesn't have his value. It wouldn't be his value no more. Like, cause I'm just using all that money for nothing. And it's just like growing, it's like buying all these tools. And it's just like, it grew to me. It's like, you need to like grow yourself and to make more cars and get those tools and make money out of those tools. And that's where I was just like, okay, well, let's start doing this. Like, let's do this, and do this.
And well, the thing is this too. Like, I'll throw you another scenario. Because we're talking in the what if, and the, you know, make believe. I forgot the right word, but hypothetical events. I mean, what if you would have, been working out at, San Bernardino? You're working on your car in the parking lot. Some youngster comes around and says, "I like your car." Yes, having a communication, a nice conversation, and he says, "Yeah, what are you measuring in?" And you say, "I don't know. What are you measuring?" He says, "Business, because my dad owns his business, and I'm going to be a CEO." Oh shit, okay. And then you get plugged in with him, and you go into business degree, and now you're making $250,000 working off an office, and FMSpec never exists.
Yeah.
I mean, what if, right?
Yeah, what if I just found $1 million in the bag in the freeway?
then you're gonna go to jail, dude. San Bernardino. But no, but on that note, this is how it's been developed, right? So this is what we know. You don't know what in 5 years,
yeah,
FMSpec could be. Right
yeah.
now, you're like, dude, I'm so happy that I have my own shop. But what in 5 years you are, starting a chain of FMSpecs, kind of like Pep was for mechanic. I mean, I've told you this. We've had this conversation about scaling, and I tell you, and I always use this example with my students that want to go to mechanic schools, and I say, hey guys, like, what's going on? I can't do that. It's an amazing career, but lifting a transmission or bending over to do something at 20 is different than at 45 and 50. And you have to prepare yourself to be able to either grow something that you can kind of now take a step back and manage, or the money that you are coming out from there, it goes into some other seats that can potentially bring you some money. So when you're 50, you don't have to change as many transmissions than when you're at 25 and still have a comfortable life.
Yeah, dude, and just talking about that too. I was having a good conversation with one of my friends about that too, because we were just talking about do you want like you said, lift heavy things at 40, 50, you're gonna get old, you're gonna get all this stuff, and it's gonna be a lot harder. And I was just like, yeah, but it's just like you said, it's like planning the 5 years. Like you want to plan something, but nothing, of course, like you could plan it all you want, but something could go wrong, something in that end. Everything that you want to plan, you could definitely do it, but in a sense that you want that perfect plan, it's never gonna happen. You could try, you could do all this stuff, but nothing aligns to it. Like you could plan anything, but it's just like one thing could mess everything up. And I do want to plan the 5 years. I'm still learning. Like I said, I'm still learning how to financially help FMSpec, how to grow and all this stuff. And it's right now I want to focus on what am I good at and what I'm not good at. And that's where I want to okay, right now I want to focus on this. And if I'm good at this, let's plan this. Let's put this into the 5-year plan. If I'm not this, let's take it out. Let's take it out because it's not gonna bring me money. It's gonna bring me more stress and anything. It's just that's what I want to do right now. I want to plan out exactly what I want for FMSpec to be in 5 years, because right now, I do want to I do what I like to do right now is just engine restorations. I love doing that. I mean, it is one of the tedious jobs that I do, but it's something that makes me proud of myself. You take everything apart and you put it back to make it into original spec. I love seeing that. And I mean, that's something that at a young age I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, like they say, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't protect the weather, right?
Yeah.
No, and it's good. I mean, you have to have the balance of going with the waves and be preparing. I mean, for me, again, yeah, you're right. I mean, especially with COVID, and all these other diseases and accidents. I can be telling you right now, dude. Yeah, I got this 10-year plan, and then somebody runs me over, and it's like, well, that was his 10-year plan. So I think you have to have a nice balance, right? You have to not YOLO it all the time, but not save every penny because you're afraid to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I mean, so when did you get your first car and all this? Obviously you're into cars. So
yeah.
When did you actually get your first car?
My first car when I was 15.
Oh, okay.
My dad had a 1991 Honda Accord. And
Sick.
it was from my uncle. He bought off my uncle. It had body kit, it had everything. So at that time, Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, all these stuff were going on. So it had all these body kits. So like in my mom would drop me off in middle school, elementary and middle school. They're like, damn, like got some nice car. I'm like, yeah, we race it, just like stuff like that. But it was automatic, and ever since then, like I always wanted that car. And when I was like around like 15, he was like, you're gonna get that car. I was like, okay. And then my 15th birthday, he was like, this is your car now. Like, do whatever you want to it. And I was like, okay, thank you, Dad. But I was 15, like, I knew nothing. Not like I didn't knew like into cars. I was like, I just wanted that car because it was cool. It had a body kit. It looked nice at that time. And and then high school, I was starting learning how, but we didn't have the tools for it. And then my dad, he started doing mechanic here and there and there. And I was looking at him, watching him do all these stuff, and I was like, you know what? I think this is something I like to do. So my dad bought tools and all this stuff, and we were just wrenching together. Like he had like a lot of Chevys, Blazers, like in the 80s and 90s, and he would work on them, and I was just helping, like work here, there, and there. I had no idea what I was doing, but like I was just
holding your flashlight.
Yeah, holding the flashlight. I got. I was like, okay, she's that. Like I don't know what the fuck. And, yeah, pásame el 10, pásame todo la matraca o and I was like, okay, and I'll just pass it to him, and the love for that grew. Like I loved it. Like you could piece something together and make everything work at the same time. Like that's something that since at a young age I was fascinated about that. I was like, you could put this and this, put them together, and they will work together. Or you put this and this and this and this and put them all together, and they will all work. That was something I really loved. Like like just the creativity of like everything working together. It was just like I want to do that stuff. I want to do something like that. Like and eventually, like 15, and I was just learning here and there, like going to high school, teaching about cars, learning about cars, and it was just something I really liked a lot. And that Accord, believe it or not, like that's the Accord that I did everything on. Like I did a motor swap, I did a wire tuck, I painted the engine bay, I painted the car. I did so much thing on that car that like it's like it was one of the like it's one of the cars that is like it's gonna be in my heart because I did so much on that car. Like it's just with that car, it was my great beginning in a sense.
When did you want to do like a swap on it, or like was it giving you issues that you were like?
Okay, so my mom didn't let me drive until I was 18. Okay. So when I was 18, I graduated high school, and then I was graduating to go to Cal State. So I was like, okay, now you could drive it, and I was like, hell yeah, like let's do this. But at the time, I'll buy nothing but China parts. I'll put them on, and like the first week, everything I installed from the China parts broke. Like I was like, damn, like go to a junkyard, buy all these stuff, like the original parts, and put them back on, and it was just drive. And I was just driving, and I thought it was the coolest shit ever, like China, everything, like replica wheels, XXRs, and all these stuff, like lips and a roof rack and whatnot. So I was like, all right, cool. So I was driving it, and at that time, I knew nothing about cars. Like I knew nothing about the engine. So I was just driving. It was automatic. I was driving it for a cool year or two, and I remember one point I was with a girl, not my wife. I was with a different girl.
Why did you have to be so specific, wait? I'm glad she's not gonna listen to this.
Because I don't want my girl, my fiance right now to be like, "What girl was that?" Like it wasn't me, and I just.
Well, that's why you skipped that part. Like I was with that homie.
This was a turning point of my mechanical work, because we went to a date, and all I could smell, dude, let me explain. All I could smell was burnt oil. Like everything, like you could see the smoke. Like at that time, like it was just leaking a lot of oil. And the girl was like, "What's wrong with your car?" I was like, "Oh, nothing." She was like, "I don't think that's normal." And I was like, "It's normal. Like it's leaking oil. Every car leaks oil." And she was like, "Oh, okay." But then I like that was just burned into my head. Like it is not normal to like leak oil. It's not this and not that. And eventually, like it just leaked a lot of oil, and I spun a bearing on that engine. So I bought a 1997 Honda Prelude with the
Hold
H122.
on, hold on. I have no idea in what part you could have just avoided the whole story about the date. You just wanted to brag that you went on a date.
No, dude, like that. This is
That's all it comes out to.
no,
You could
no.
have been like, one time I was on the road and it was
The way,
unusual. But no, let me emphasize that I was with the
it
girl.
was the turning. The way that she worded it, like the way that she explained herself, like it's just burned to my head, like
It made you feel like shit. Like, no, you fucking idiot.
like,
Yeah.
like work on your car and call me back, or
Otra chica más.
yeah, like whatever, like I don't need her, and that was the turning point for me. It was like I need to learn how to work on cars because I don't have the money to take it to a mechanic, and for them to just not, it's gonna be the same. So I just left it be. I just drove it, drive it until it spun the bearing, and then on Craigslist, one of my buddies, he crashed a 1997 Honda Prelude, and it has the H22A4 swap on it. The swap, an H22 swap basically. And then I was like, since I'm already here, let's make it stick. Keep in mind, this was like around a spring break. So I was like, all right, I went to Craigslist, I found the transmission. I used all my financial money on this swap.
Smart.
Smart. If that gives you a hint about credit cards, I was smart. So
thank you, American Society, for paying for my swap manual.
American Express, appreciate
You're welcome. You're welcome.
No, and then so I bought the transmission, I bought everything about the clutch, I put everything back together, and it was automatic. Like I tell you, keep in mind it was in spring break, so it was a week. And I put everything back together. I was like, all right, cool, let's drive it. How? I don't know how to drive stick.
You're like, great.
Yeah, great.
All right, now
I was like,
I didn't think I was gonna get this far.
yeah, that's the thing. I was like, I didn't think I was gonna get this far. So I was like, all right, cool. Like,
how did you end up kind of guiding yourself to do the manual forums? Or?
Yeah, like I said, CD7 Tuner was the forum for me that taught me, in a sense, taught me how to do this. Like they'll give you explanations, like pictures and writing, and like how to it's basically step 1, do this, step 2, this, blah 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 blah. So that's where I learned how to do the swap and the 5-speed, and I was just like, all right, cool. Like, I think I could do this. I think I could do this. Like I could do this. I could do this. And yeah, and eventually I did it. And so yeah,
you forgot to read up on how to drive manual. Right?
So this is the thing. It's like my dad didn't teach me how to drive stick. No one taught me how to drive stick. I Googled it. No, I YouTube it. How to drive stick. And there was a video where it's like, you let go of the clutch, and when it's moving, you press the gas and it will go. And I was like, all right, I tried it. I was stalling. I'm like, nah, let me look another video. And there was another video. It's like, all right, guys, like a lot of people are gonna tell you how to finesse the clutch and the gas. This is what you're gonna do. Press the clutch, press the gas, let go of the clutch.
That's messed up.
That's how I learned, dude. Like I would rev it up to like 4,000 and let go of the clutch, and like I would just peel out like all the time. Eventually I knew how, but it was embarrassing to just like have a car next to me, and like it's like this ricer right here. What is he doing? But that's how I learned how to drive stick.
And how was this swap? I mean, it sounds like everything went wonderful. Did it?
No, it did not went wonderful. I was having problems, like VTEC wouldn't engage, it will break up. Like it was a horrible, like it was the first time for me doing like, because that was the first time I did a wire tuck too. So like I cut, spliced, and I did so many things to that thing. Like it was just horrible. And my dad had a 1987 Nissan hardbody.
Nice.
And he had it in parts. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, Dad, can I fix the truck? He was like, yeah. And I'm like, but if I fix it, can I drive it? He was like, yeah, because I was going to junk it. And I was like, all right, cool. So I drove it. I made it turn on, and I just drove it. I drove that truck more than my Cord. Because like with the Cord, like I was just like learning how to do this, how to do a swap, how to do a transmission swap. And for the first 2 months, I knew there was a difference between the left and the right axle on the Cords, on the manuals. So I will put the left axle on the right side, and I would drive it for a good like an hour, and then like it will stop driving because the axle will pop off the transmission, and I will have no axle. So it was just like little things here and there that it's just like it was a learning experience for me. That's what I'm saying. Like with that Accord, I learned so much. Like I painted the car, I painted the engine bay, I did a wire tuck, I did a swap, I did a transmission swap. Like, was it the best thing I'd done? No, but I learned from there. Like I knew how to do. I had an idea how to do it now. Like I know what to do next time. Like and all that stuff. And eventually, like there was I was like, you know what? I want a new car because the hard body was at the time it was ugly, dude. Like it was like a beater. It was like a beat up truck. It had white. It had like different colors. The wheels were different. The tires were all bald, but it would take me to school. That truck until now has never let me down.
The black one?
Yeah, the black one. Like that truck, I love that truck. Like I'm never gonna sell the truck because that truck, if it let me down, it will leave me at my house. Like literally, like, in my, like you know what? Got to the head, let me die in peace. And dude, I love that truck until now. Like that truck has never let me down. Like I took it to I took it everywhere, Santa Ana to Bakersfield, all the way to Fresno. Like I took it anywhere, dude. And
that's far for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, and that truck. The only thing about it wastes a lot of gas, but that's my favorite truck.
6-cylinder, no?
Huh? Yeah,
6-cylinder.
Yeah, so it's a 4x4. And then with that Accord, eventually, like I made it to work. I made it. I just time by time I learned how to do it. Like, and I was like, you know what? I had my fun with it. Let's at that time like Craigslist was big, and I was like for trades, like like they would trade cars. Like you give me your car and I'll get your car. And there was a Folks where it was a Nissan, a 1995 Nissan 240 S14, when they were affordable at that time.
Uh-huh.
And so I hit up the guy, like, hey, I have a 1991 Honda Accord. It's swap, it has a transmission, it's all good. And he was like, okay, bring it. And I was like, okay, where? This guy, you texting?
No, wait, dale.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I ain't talking. Anyways, so and halfway
what
there.
What do you know about podcast shit? I'm checking something else, cabrón. You're like, are you texting?
Hello, yeah, you're texting.
I gotta check the audio rate.
Let me check my emails real quick. No, and then halfway in, the guy told me like, hey man, just letting you know the Nissan doesn't drive. And I was like, what you mean it doesn't drive? He's like, it doesn't drive. Like I blew out the water pump and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I'm like 20 minutes away from you. I'm gonna still check it out. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went, and it was the paint was nice, everything was nice. Like he gave me lowering springs. The only bad thing about it was the water pump exploded on him. So I called tow truck, and I towed it to my house. And yeah, and that's when I got a 1995 Nissan 240 and S14. And then from there it was just trading and trading and trading.
You should have stayed at the 14.
No, dude, with the S14, the reason why I sold it is because it was all rusted up. Like the whole underneath was all rusted. So I was like, I don't want this car at all. So I sold it, and then yeah.
Okay. So then how do you come across the Accord that you, because I know you still, to this day, you still see the very first Accord. How do you come across the white coupe? Because you've had that, is that the one you've had the longest, or?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think I had up to 5 or 6 Accords at this time. I had my first 1991 Honda Accord, and then I had a 92 Honda Accord. And then I bought a 90 Accord coupe with a swap. And then I bought a 1991 Honda Accord SE. That's the one. I had leather interior. That's the one. It was nice. Like that's the first car I wanted to take it more seriously. Like like make it look into an OE build. So I put an H22 swap. I did it manual, and like to a point, like at this point, I regret selling that. Well, messing it up that car, like because there was a point where I was like, let me wire tuck it, and nah, dude, I just gave up on it, and then I just parted it out and junked it. And then at that time, that's where I graduated Cal State, and I bought a truck, a 20. No, I took off the truck of my cousin. He had a 2017 Ram 1500.
That's new.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, cool. I'll take over it and I'll do the payments. He was like, all right, cool. So I was driving it for like a year or two, and I had no cars besides that one. So I was just like, no cars, just my monthly payments, and that's it. And that's when, I was like, all right, cool. Like, all right, cool. And then one of my buddies worked at Subaru, and he was like, is that your truck? And I was like, no, this is my cousin's. I'm just taking over the payments right now until he could take it back. He was like, all right, come through. I'll hook you up with a WRX. And I was like, nah, I'm good. He's like, no, come through. Like, just look at it. Like, no commitment or nothing. I was like, all right, cool. So I went the next day. And
Next day.
Yeah, the next day I was like, let's check out the STI. Like, I never drove a fast car. So I was like, all right. So I went to Subaru, and then he's like, this is WRXs. And I'm like, nah, man. Like, show me the STIs. And he was like, nah, you're not even ready for that. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm the customer. I was like, show me the STI. He was like, all right, cool. So he showed me the STI. I drove it. And I was like, damn, this is quick. Like, I was like, I want it. And then he gave me a good deal on the STI. Like, he gave me a good deal. And from there, I was like, like, I was happy for like a year.
Did you turn in the truck?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got the truck back, and then he paid for it and all that stuff. And then
wait, the truck went back to your cousin, or did you turn it into the dealer?
No, to my cousin, because it was not my it was not my truck too.
You were just driving it while you were paying. Okay, gotcha. So like almost like you rented it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then so I bought the STI, and I was good for a year or so. And then this is where one of my friends, Elias, with the Prelude, he had a Accord coupe. And he was like, hey man, he was like, I having problems with my car, can you do a swap? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I have to do the swap. And he's like, how much? I was like, this much. He was like, how about I'll give you the car and some cash on top? And I was like, I really don't want it, but it's another Accord that's one piece. I was like, all right, let's do it. So I did the swap. He gave me the Accord. I drove it home. And I had the Accord parked there for like more than a year. Like
is this the white one?
Yeah, this was the first white one.
The first white one.
The first white one. Mm-hmm. So it was standing for a year because once I got it, I took it to home and it was plastic dipped. It was a mess. Like my interest level for it was like 0. So mm-hmm. I didn't want it anymore. I wanted to sell it, but I was like, let's just work on it. So I went to a junkyard. I bought like literally everything: trunk, hood, fenders, doors, everything besides the quarter panels. And just little by little sanding the whole car, and I painted it white. And I was like, the reason why I painted it white is because I bought the paint super, super cheap. It was like $80 for that 2 gallons of paint. And I was like, I'm just gonna sell it. I'm just gonna flip it and sell it. Like, who cares? And I painted it, I buffed it out, and I was like, damn, it looks really nice. Like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, I'm still selling it. And then I had some wheels. I put the wheels on. I'm like, oh, dude, like, it looks really good. Like, nah, I'm gonna sell it. And then I made it 5-lug, and then I was like, dang, the things look so good. Like, I don't know what to do. And then this is the time where my cousin was selling the BBS LMs. Mm-hmm. He was like, hey man, do you want the BBS LMs? And I was like, well, how much? I don't remember the price, how much he was asking. But I got them for a little bit lower was he asking. I'm not gonna say how much because it's a lot. and I bought them, right? And I put them on, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, that's it, this is mine. I'm keeping it. So I was just driving it the whole time. And this is where I was seeing cars like getting built like really nice, like really, like pristine, like original paint, like all this stuff, like zinc coated plate, like bolts and stuff like that. And I was just like, and I'll open my hood and I'm just like, oh man, like this thing looks horrible. So then I saw an offer up. I saw this Accord, a 1991 Honda Accord with 94,000 miles for 3,600, and the description said, "Do not hit me up unless you have 3,400 or 36." And I was like, "I'm not gonna hit her up." She says to not hit her up if I don't got that money, and I was like, "All right, I won't hit her up." And then I was working on the Prelude. Same thing, I was sanding it, about to get it ready to paint. And then when I hear the notification that an offer up notification, she dropped the prices. She dropped the price for 1,000. So it was like 20,
Wow.
you wanted 2,600. And I called her right away. I was like, "Hey, send me your number. I got 2,400 in hand. I can go right now this minute." And she sent me the address, and I went. And I was like, "Well, what's the car? Blah blah." And she was like, "Here it is." It's like this one. It was my neighbor's. My neighbor died, so he gave it to my dad, and my dad never drove it, and he passed away. So I'm selling it right now. And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Can you do 2,200?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "All right, well, here's 2,400." And I took it. And ever since then, like, dude, that car, I love that car. Like, I don't drive it no more. It's just, but the paint, like everything is so nice on that car. Like the interior, I love it.
So then what happened to the other white coupe?
I I put everything back to stock and I sold it. Yeah, I sold it.
So now you just with this white coupe, and then the Prelude. So you actually were working on the Prelude while you had the other white coupe. How
Yeah.
did you come around with the Prelude?
Yeah, so like with the Prelude, like I said, I still had the white Accord, and I was like, all right, well, it's time to work on the Prelude, because I bought that Prelude, like I said, like a year or two later, and I was just had it in the backyard, like doing nothing to it. And then my mom was like, "What are you gonna do with that car? Like, it's just in the backyard, it's doing nothing, blah 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 blah." Like, "Okay, mom, like I'm just gonna paint it and sell it too as well." And I started sanding it. I started doing all the body work to it, and that's why I said I got the notification. But then once I got the notification of the cord, about the cord, and I just focused on the cord. Like I took like at least like 5 months building that cord, like how it is right now. And then I was broke again. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna save up a little bit more and fix the Prelude. And that's what I did. I fixed the Prelude. I did on the Prelude. I did everything myself, like to swap, paint. I did everything on that one. And I'll be honest, the Prelude is my favorite car of all the cars I have. Nah, I'm serious. Like the Prelude I love the Prelude, dude, a lot. I don't want to sell it, but who knows?
It's a good car. It's a very good looking car, especially the color schemes that you have it on right now. It's pretty good, but I'll take your coupe in a heartbeat over that.
Yeah, no, everyone loves the coupe. Everyone loves the coupe, but the thing is with the coupe, it's just like I'm getting older. Like I'm getting older, and it's too low. And when I was gonna take it up to the meet over there in Sacramento, like I was trying for a week. Like I was like, all right, let's try it for a week, see how it feels. Let's get back into this. No, I hated it. I got stuck like 3 times. I was like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, so I just put it in the back and call it a day. And I took out the Prelude, and I was like, I'm gonna take the Prelude. I took the Prelude, and keep in mind, I never drove the Prelude like more than 30 miles. So yeah, like, I just drove the Prelude like up in here, like just to go work, get little things, liquor, gas, and it was just like a little town car.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, well, let's go Six Flags, because I was like, let's go Six Flags because I need to deliver a part over there by one of my friends. I was like, let me take the Prelude. If the Prelude handles the Six Flags,
it can handle anything.
Yeah, it can handle anything. Like I was like, it's an hour drive, so I was like, it can handle anything, right?
It's more than an hour for you.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 30 minutes.
That's it. I thought it would be like 2.5.
Nah, but with traffic, it is. But I went on Sunday, so it was quick. So I went up there, AC full blast, going down AC full blast, and I was like, you know what? It could go. It could take it. So I was like, I'm gonna go by myself. I'm gonna go to myself to the meet. And then one of my friends, Carlos, and he was like, hey man, are you going to the meet? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, yeah, you're down? He's like, yeah, what time you want to go? And I was like, I was planning to leave like around like 4 or 5 in the morning. He was like, yeah, let's do that. And I was like, all right, cool. So we met up at Chevron over there by Santa Clarita too, over there by Six Flags. This was like around 4 in the morning, and then we just drove up there, and it was nice, dude. Like, I mean, I took it like a champ, dude. Like, it had power, comfortable, it had AC. The only thing I didn't like, it was droning. It was the exhaust was too big for it, and it was just drone inside.
That was good.
Yeah, no, it was a good turnout. I like the meat a lot, and I like the Prelude. And like, I mean, the Prelude, like for that, and since then, I haven't drove the Prelude at all. That's just stuck in the back, and that's it.
Till it's ready for the next 10-hour drive. Because when
Yeah, it's ready for it. Yeah, I love the Prelude. I love it more than the Cord. The Cord is a really nice car. Like, don't get me wrong. The build on that one is nice, but the more I would drive is the Prelude.
but then you decided to go get a fifth gen or wagon.
Yeah, then I decided to get a 15.
Well, why?
It was a good deal.
Everything's a good deal with you freaking guys.
It was a good deal. Honestly, I don't know. I saw it on. I was just on OfferUp one night, and I was just like looking up, scrolling.
Bored.
Like, I was bored. You know? This was like around like 11, 12 at night, and I was just looking it up and down, and then I see the Cord. He was asking 1,300, and I was like, let's see what's up. And then I looked at the pictures. It looked straight. It looked good. And I was like, all right, let me hit him up. I hit him up, and I was like, hey, man, this car is still available. He was like, yeah, still available. I'm like, how much you're asking? He was like 1,300. And I was like, I got $1,000. I'll go tomorrow. And he was like, nah, dude, I'm firm at 1,300. And I was like, okay, I'll still go tomorrow, right?
Okay.
I was like, all right, cool. And
so for whoever is listening, keep in mind he does not need this car.
Yeah, keep in mind, I don't need this car at all. I don't need it.
You just want it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I just wanted it. I just wanted it, right? I thought. I'm sure it's not the rarest wagon, but it's pretty rare. It's black. It's black exterior and black, grayish interior.
And EX, no?
EX. Yeah,
okay.
So sunroof, everything on it, and
disc in the back and everything.
Yeah, everything was like.
Yeah, it is one of the most rare. I mean, manual is the best, but
but it's not manual. Yeah. It was black exterior, gray interior. Everything was good on it. Like everything worked. And so that morning he hit me up and like, hey man, are you gonna pick up the car? Because I got another guy asking if it's available, and he has more money on top of you. So I'm just asking if you're coming. And I was like, yeah, I'm coming. I'm on my way. He was like, you said you come out at 4. I'll leave my house around 2, and I'll be there like around 4. And he was like, all right, cool. So I got there at 4, and I was like, hey man, by the way, like, how much was he asking on top? He said someone was trying to give him 1,800 for that wagon. And I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, no, dude, like, he's serious. He saw the message and everything. He was like, oh, okay, well, I got 1,300. Like, they're like, yeah, let's drive it. So I drove it. It was rough. Like, it was slipping the transmission. The transmission was a little bit rough. It was slipping. It had no oil. Like, it was just rough. I took it home.
You still bought it. I love how I took it home.
I was like, keep in mind that this is the time where I found something interesting in my life. Like, I was like, I need this car.
Because you've never known a wagon.
Yeah, I never known a wagon. So, and for me to find something now, and I was like, I need a bigger car because something's gonna happen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna buy it. You know, I can fix it up. I could do all this stuff to it. And that's what I did. I was like, I bought it. I drove it home. I fixed it up a little. I changed the suspension, new bushings, all this stuff. And right now, this is the most comfortable car I have. Like, it's just AC, automatic. It just goes anywhere. But the problem with that car is that I had a lien account on it. I was pissed. I was like, I went to AAA, right? I was like, let me register this car, and blah blah blah. And they were like, okay, cool. And they were like, hey, do you know the owner of this car? And I'm like, well, not really, but I could get in touch with him. And he was like, okay, well, the reason why I'm asking because it has a lien. And I'm like, oh, like the lien? He was like, yeah. I was like, so they haven't paid off the car? Like, no, they paid it off, but a bank owns it right now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, the bank owns this car, and you talk to the bank to give you a release title. And I was like, all right, well, give me the bank's name and phone number. She was like, all right, you ready? I was like, yeah. She was like, Porsche Financials. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, Porsche? And she was like, yeah, Porsche. I was like, you talking about the car Porsche? Like,
the
Porsche?
brand?
Yeah, the Porsche brand? Yes, the brand Porsche. I'm like, Porsche. And I was like, you telling me a Honda, Porsche owns a Honda right now? And she was like, yes. I was like, okay, cool. Like, give me the phone number. I'll call them. So I called them, and they were like, we don't have a record on this car. We don't have nothing about this car. Like, it was just back and forth. The bank didn't own that car. The DMV said Porsche owned that car. So it was just back and forth. So I was driving this car unregistered for 6 months. Yeah. For 6 months. Because in the state of California, it's like you could drive a car unregistered for 6 months before they tow it. So I was like, you know what? I got 6 months to play with. They won't tow it. I was just it, and that's it, And after 7 months, dude, 7 months, Porsche released the title to me, and then I was just like, damn, about time. And then I drove it. It feels the same. Like I drove it uninsured and uninsured. No, not uninsured. Unregistered and registered, and it's just the same. Like it's just different. But yeah, I own this car, and the reason why I bought this car is because I found out that my fiance is pregnant.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And that's the reason why I bought it. And the funny thing is that one of my neighbors, when I came home with that car, it was like, "Oh, you bought a family car." And I was like, "Yeah." Like, huh, interesting. And I'm like, "Yeah, I got it for a good deal." And he was like, "Interesting." I was like, "Why you say that?" I was like, "Baby soon?" And I'm like, no baby. And he was like, okay, all right. So he figured it out. And then, yeah, I found out that my fiance was pregnant, and that's why I bought it. And I was like, you know what? I need this car.
That's crazy, man. That's great. So that's a new chapter of your life that you're about.
Yeah, dude, it's a new chapter. Yeah, honestly, I'm excited. I'm excited about having my first son. Like, it's saying something like that. It's weird. Like, for me, seeing my first son, like having my son, it's just like, it's something that I never thought I would say, and I'm happy that, he's coming, because I did want a family for a long time. Like, I was just like, I did want someone to have and care for, and to have him to make it happen is something that is like, I'm proud of it, and I'm really happy to have it happening.
Well, not bad, man. I mean, and sometimes we wish that they also get into cars, so now you get to wrench together and projects.
Like, I mean, like my we were talking about this, me and my fiance, about the kid's name, my son's name, and I was like, I want him to be Francisco, and he was like, no. I was like, why not? She was like, just think about it. It's like, your name is Francisco, his name's gonna be Francisco, and he's gonna have he's like, you never know, he might have the pressure of filling your shoes. And I was like, what do you mean by that? It's like you do all this stuff, and he might not be the same as you. Just keep that in mind, so don't be disappointed if it doesn't happen. And I'm like, well, I was like, I'm not gonna be disappointed. Like, I mean, it's just like, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, if he's not into cars or stuff like that, it's gonna be a little bit upsetting to me. But like, I mean, it's something that is not something that is gonna, like, I'm not gonna love my son for not loving cars. Like, that's pretty stupid. And I was like, yeah, but like, he's gonna have the pressure to fill your shoes. I'm like, but I don't get what you're trying to say. It's like, yeah, because your name is Francisco and his name's gonna be Francisco, so they're gonna compare yourself. He's gonna compare yourself as you. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's gonna be a different person. Anyway, we got into an argument about that name. So his name is gonna be Mateo.
That's like a story for nothing. Mateo.
Yeah, his middle name's gonna be Francisco, but mostly it's gonna be Mateo Francisco Mata.
She should have told you to name him after your dad, Gustavo.
What? I was like, well, my dad's name's Francisco too.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, dude. Like
So when is Mateo to be expected?
November 7th, 16th.
Wow,
Yeah,
couple months, man.
a couple months, dude. And honestly, I'm nervous and scared at the same time. Like it's just like nervous that I'm gonna meet him for the first time, and like I'm gonna be a first time dad, and scared is that everyone tells me their stories of having a kid, and I'm just like, oh man, like not sleeping, waking up, like all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I love sleeping.
Well, yeah, I love it for now because it's not gonna. It depends on the baby. Maybe.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just scared a baby might be, like a crybaby in a sense. Like he's gonna cry the whole time, or he might be calm and he's gonna sleep the whole time. But and truly, I'm really excited to have my family. I'm excited to have this chapter of my life. It's like having my family. Having Carol, Mateo, and me at the same time. It's just like something that.
That's freaking dope, dude. That's freaking dope, and yeah, definitely, it's gonna be exciting to see you with a baby. And
yeah, dude. So next year I'm gonna be like, I can't have Mateo.
Well, you already don't even make it out without a baby. I can only imagine with a baby.
This year is Carol, and next year is gonna be Mateo, bro. All right.
You have a good reason, huh?
Yeah, now I have a good reason.
Nah, bro. Mateo's feeling sick. Like I can't go out. Well, Mateo's 38. We moved out a long time ago. Stop using that excuse.
Mateo is like he's in the restroom. I really can't go right now.
Mateo doesn't let me go. It's past my curfew. You're 65. Fool, make your own decisions.
Right.
So, speaking of that, I mean, it sounds like you're feeling good about having a kiddo. Well, before we continue, do you need a break? Need water? Go to the restroom?
Yeah, let me be right back. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, go get water. And
all right, let me get water.
So now that Mateo's coming along,
yeah,
you also sound like you feel good in the position where you're at. I mean, now we kind of do a loop around. I know you had a couple jobs after college that were paying good at the time, but then they didn't. And so how does the idea to start FMSpec at the time it wasn't called FMSpec? How did this idea to start your own business come about?
So my work history was my first job was a car wash, right? A car wash. I worked there when I was 18. And it was okay job, and they paid good, but it was too far. It was in Corona, and yeah, I was like, it was my first job. So I was like, I wanted to work, and I went to Corona. My second job was O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and I was there for 3 years. That job was really really good at the beginning. The first 2 years were good. The last year, that's where it was taken to a different turn. And that's the job I was like, like I'll put my 2-week notice just in case I want to come back and whatnot. So I put my 2-week notice, I left, and then I worked on another job called Old Dominion. And Old Dominion was a job for me that it was a night job. It was from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the morning. And it was a good job. But the thing is, with the scheduling with school, kind of messed it up for me because I was working with the older guys that knew how to do it. So for me, it was just like if I knew how to do it, they would just be on me like, hey, you need to do this faster, you need to do this faster, you need to do it faster. Because the people that hire at the same time, they have like their own special group, which is in the evenings. And they have like, they'll teach them how to do it. They teach them how to have a problem or stuff like that. For me, it was just like, hey, I need you on this, I need you on this, I need you on this. And I was just like, I don't know how to do this shit. Like, I was like, fuck, like, and then I was like, hey man, I need a day off this day. And they're like, oh, it was like 2 months in ahead. I was like, no, you're gonna be busy that day. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I was like, it's gonna be that company, right? Like, all right, cool. And then another week passed, and I was working on my car, and I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Just, leave. I'm just gonna not go. So I didn't go for a week straight, and like they gave me a call like around the second week, like, hey Francisco, where have you been? We were waiting for you this whole time, and you haven't showed up. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm not gonna work there no more. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna fire you for this, right? I was like, yeah, we know. He's like, all right, cool. Just letting you know that you can get fired, and that's it. And I was like, all right, cool. So I worked there, and then after that, I was working at with my dad in DirecTV, and he was working with Direct. I was working with him for a good like 6 months in DirecTV and the Sun and all that stuff. And then I was to my dad, I was like, yo, I need more money than this, you know. He's like, all right, cool. Let me talk to my manager to see if he give you your own route. And I was like, all right, cool. So he gave me his route. He gave me a different route than my dad. So we were working like he was working on his route and I was working on my route. And with that job, like that job will pay. Like like for me, is I really don't care what the job is unless it's paying good. And if it's easy work, I'll do it. So I was on DirecTV for a year or so. And then out of nowhere, it starts to slow down. And I was like, I called the manager, he wouldn't pick up. I called the boss, he wouldn't pick up. And I talked to my dad, I was like, hey dad, what's going on with the routes? Because me and my dad were just like not working at all. We would have like 1 or 2 jobs a day. Before we were having 4 to 5 days a job, like a day. Mm-hmm. And that was good money because like it was like depending on like if it was 4 boxes, it'll be 80 a box. Ooh. And then 20 each boxes. So it was good money. Like it was like really good money. And then out of nowhere, like it just died. It was like 1 or 2 jobs a day. And I told my dad, like, yo, what's going on? He was like, me and my boss got into a fight and I think we're fired. And I'm like, what do you think? Like, I didn't do nothing. Like, and he was like, yeah, but you're my son and he doesn't like me. So he's not gonna like you no more. So I think we're gonna get fired. And I'm like,
what? And you want to name your kid Francisco?
Yeah. And I was like, but what do you mean? I was like, this is when I got the truck. And the truck payment was up there, you know. I was like, oh man, like, I need to start working. And then I was like, yeah, we will like. He was like, why don't we open our own business with DirecTV? And I was like, yeah, but no. And then he was like, all right, cool. We're thinking about it. We thought about it, and then we started working for another DirecTV retailer. And he was a good money. It was good money, but not as like the first one. So we would get like, it was like 2 or 3 jobs a day. So it wasn't like good money neither. And then my dad was like, hey, let's do this. And I was like, all right, cool. So we started applying to have our own DirecTV retailer. And we got it. We got our own DirecTV dealer and we were our own bosses again. We were like, my dad would get his route, I'll get my route. We will sell DirecTV. And we were making like really good money this time. Like this is where I bought the cord, the Prelude, and everything. Like that was just like I didn't have no expenses. I had nothing, so I was just spending.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. And then this is when we opened our business with DirecTV. This was when AT&T came in and bought out DirecTV. So the first year for us was really great. Was one of the best years. And then the second year, it was like dying out because AT&T was changing out rules. Like, you know, like customers with bad credit can't get DirecTV. Customers with previous accounts with DirecTV can't get DirecTV. They made it into a 2-year contract, and a lot of people didn't want it no more. So we would still sell it, but not as much. Third year came out, and then it was just horrible. Like it was just like they didn't pay us enough. They were asking too much for the customers. Customers were like, no, I don't want DirecTV anymore because it's part with AT&T. A lot of people don't like AT&T for some reason. And we were like, all right, cool. Like, what we do now? And my dad was like, well, he was still doing it. And I was like, well, I need more money than this. So I started working for Spectrum. Same thing, like installing DirecTV, but without the satellite. And I was there for a week. I did not like it at all. Like it was just, I didn't like it. So I was like, all right, cool. Like this is myself. I was like, I don't know what to do no more. Like I don't want to try out again for the probation or police because they kept denying me. I tried 3 times and kept denying me. And I was like, all right, well, I guess this is the time to open a shop. and and uh and I was just hesitant about it because I was like, nah, but what if it doesn't go right? What doesn't go right? Like, you know, like I don't have a shop, I don't have this. So one
But
of my
sorry, but before that, like like did you just randomly think, oh, I can
no,
work on cars?
no, so no, so I was working for Spectrum, right? And where I'm at right, I was working with Spectrum, and the shop where I'm at right now, I know the owner. He's a really good friend to me, and I know that owner since O'Reilly's, and I was working at O'Reilly's, and his name is Abraham, and I was like, yo, Abraham, and he was like looking around. I was like, yo, I'm right here. He was like, yo, what are you doing here? And he was like, I'm working. He was like, oh, okay, well, you know, like, okay, cool, like, enjoy your day, like, nice seeing you, blah 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 blah. And this Abraham wanted me to work for him for a long time, but I kept saying no because like I was like, I don't want to work for someone, like, you know, like I don't want to work for someone. I don't want to work doing this and get paid for this when I know I could get this much money for that. So I was in my head, I was like, I don't want to work with this. And I was working for Spectrum for a good like a week. And then one day he calls me drunk, like super drunk. He was like, hey Francisco. I was like, yo, what's up? Like, I just want to let you know you're stupid. Like, just like that. Like, you're stupid, you're ignorant, you don't appreciate things in life. And I was like, yo, I mean, like Abraham, chill out. Like, I mean, we hadn't even talked in like in person, and you were here calling me all these names. Like, nah, dude, this is, you don't get it. It's like, you have all this talent. You know how to work on cars. You know how to do all this stuff. I've been wanting you to work at my shop for the longest, and you're over here working with Spectrum. And I was like, dude, I need money. He was like, dude, like I could pay you a lot more than Spectrum. Like, I need you to work on my shop. And I was like, I don't wanna work for someone. Like, I don't want to work for like you and do all this work. And you know, I just don't want to do that. He was like, then open your damn shop. And Cisco was like, open your shop and you'll see the difference between working for yourself and for someone. I already knew how the money that will come to me if I'm the owner, if I'm all this, because I had DirecTV, my own DirecTV retailer. So there was give us the commission, and from there they will sell us everything. So it was just I knew the difference. I was like, yeah, I know the difference here, but the thing is, I don't have the money to spend for a shop. I don't have the money to all this stuff. Like it was a big expense. And he was like, yeah, dude, you need like 40 to 50 or like more to 50, like, you know, at least like he's like at least 80 for your first year because you're gonna open like a shop, you're gonna have all this and you're gonna do all this stuff. He was like, think about it, just think about it. Like, just go like, you have a lot of talent. Like, you can't just you just can't waste your time in random jobs. And I was like, yeah, I thought about it, and I was like, damn, like he's right. Like, I know how to do all this, and I was just like, I thought about it. And I was like, when I called him, I'm like, yo, dude, I can't. Like, I don't have that much money to like just just to give. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, well, how about this? He was like, you open the shop, I rent you a spot at my shop, and you could work from there. And I was like, yeah, you sure? He was like, yeah, dude. Like, I want you to grow. I want you to see that this mechanic is not it's not like, you know, like whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, all right, cool. Like, he was like, I just need, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need this, and I'm gonna need this. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, it was good money. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, don't worry, I'll get the money for you. And I was like, all right, cool. He was like, by when you gonna start? And I was like, by January. And he was like, all right, cool. So January comes, right? And I was just like, I was still thinking about it. I was like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
like, should I really open this shop? Like, I mean, I was just like,
It's a big thing.
yeah, I was like, oh man, like, I don't know. I really don't know what to do. And then my girl, my at my time, it was just my girlfriend. And she was like, do whatever you think you do. And I was talking to his dad too. He was like, do you like working with DirecTV? And I was like, I mean, not really, but it's money. He told me, he was like, hey, I'm just gonna give you this advice. I'm not sure if no one told you this, but if if you're just working for money, it's gonna be always it bothers. You're not gonna love it. You're not gonna do nothing for that. You're just gonna work and you're just gonna hate it the whole time. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, but if you work for something that you want to do, something that you like to do, something that brings you interest, that that work is not gonna be work. It's gonna be something that you want to go to work. It's something that you're interested. You're gonna go to work and, you know, feel excitement and all that stuff. And I was like, And I was like, but I was like, yeah, I know, but it's just like back then it's like the money. It's like I want to give up this much money for something to give up later. Like I had like all these stuff, and I was like, and at that time the COVID wasn't the big thing. It was like COVID in China, and that's pretty much it. And they were like, oh, it's not gonna come here, and blah blah blah. And then my girl told me, she was like, you always talk, but you never say, you never do. And I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna do it. And so I did it. I gave him the money, and I started opening the shop. And the first month, I was working with Abraham. Had a lot of work, so Abraham was like, like I know you have no customers right now, so work on my cars, and I'll pay you. And I was like, all right, cool. So I started working on his cars, and then the second month, I posted it up like, oh, I have my own shop. If you guys want to come through, I do everything, brakes, anything you guys want. And I thought like I was on get nothing. Like I thought I had no support at all. And I was wrong, dude. I was wrong at that point. Like a lot of people were hitting me. I was like, about time, Francisco. Like I knew you were gonna open the shop. I know you're gonna do this, blah blah blah. Like I need this done. I need this done. And like I was like, all right, cool. And dude, since then, like it's been like nonstop. And I'm thankful for all my customers because like without them, like I wouldn't be here. Like I mean, it's the truth. Like I'm just mind blown on how much support I had the first 3 months. Like it was just work after work after work. And I said right now, like I'm not trying to be like I'm so busy that I'm not taking any work right now because I'm just backed up with work, and it's just like. And I tell Abraham this, and I was like, "You're not taking work because you're backed up." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like I'm just backed up in work because I have to catch up with all the stuff I'm doing." And he's like, "You must be nice." And I was like, "Yeah, it is kind of nice," but at the same time, it's like I have all these DMs, all these requests that, "Hey, I need this, I need this, I need this," and I'm just like, "I'm sorry, dude, I'm not taking it in work." And this is something I've been thinking about, like hiring people already, because I think I can make more money if I hire more people. Like, I mean, it's gonna be more overhead, but at the same time, I'm bringing in more money. So it's just like it's something that I'm looking into to hire people, but at the same time, it's just like
It's difficult.
yeah, it's difficult because the work I do is not like something that not everyone could. Not I'm saying not everyone could do it, but it's something that I take pride in. So like I mean, if someone doesn't take pride in their work, I don't want them because they could just like, oh, I'm gonna half-ass it here, and it might look good, but you never know. Like in a month or two, they're gonna like, hey man, I have this problem, and I'm like, all right, we'll bring it in, and I see the problem. It's just like, oh man, like this was him the work, and it's just like I had to talk to him or stuff like that. So it's someone like I hired my cousin around the beginning of the year, and honestly, with him working with me for like a month or two, it was something that I really wanted because I was paying him to do work that like quick work, and I'll work in other projects, and he will work with the cars that want something simple, oil changes, brakes, something quick, transmission, or a little quick swap or something like that. And it was just something I like enjoying because he would just do that work, and I'll work on something that a long term. Like when I was working on your car, he was working on other cars, and I was just like, I like this, but at the same time, it was weird because his fiance too, it was pregnant. Got pregnant at the same time that we're pregnant. So he was like, hey dude, like I'm gonna leave you because I'm gonna need more money than what you're paying me. And I was like, yeah, no, it's understandable. Like, you have your family, you have this, and I'm paying you like minimum. So I understand. He was like, yeah, dude, thank you. And he went to his own, do his thing, and I'm still doing this, but it's just like I'm willing to pay the money now that he wants, but it's just like it's hard because it's just a lot of overhead. And it's the same thing when I started from the beginning. It's just like I'm gonna spend this much 1 month, but I don't know how much is gonna be the return. So, and that's where I'm scared of hiring people. It's just
Eventually, well, you won't know until you get to that point because
yeah,
just kind of like when you start a business. I mean, yeah, because you definitely skip over that big conversation of somebody getting drunk and calling you out. I think that's tough love, and I think another thing that really stood out to me was your fiance or girlfriend at the time saying you say it, but you talk it, but you don't walk it. And I think that was the moment where you're like, wait a minute, like it kind of goes back to that moment where like, no, cars are not supposed to leak oil. those are those moments when somebody says something to you that you're like, oh shoot, like gotta do something about it. And so there's a lot, man. There's a lot that you're going through that I can never imagine. Like I had to give you big props because it goes back to you being the first in something. Now you're
Yeah.
the owner of a business and the responsibility behind it, having to work with people and scaling it. Um, Speaking of growing things, you mentioned you want to hire people. Like, what is the vision that you have for FMSpec? If you had a magic wand, like, it may not happen tomorrow, it may happen in 10 years. What is that magic wand that you can be like, oh, this is what I want?
My if I had a magic wand, and my future for FMSpec was having a shop where pretty much I could just rest to mods any car, like have experience in German cars, American cars, Japanese cars, and just have them where what the customer wants, customer gets. In a sense that I wanted just like older BMWs, like the BMW 2002s. Those are really nice cars where a lot of people restore them. And that's something where if I had the magic wand, it's like you can bring your car right here, and everything that you want will be done here, like a one-stop shop. You get your engine rebuilt, you get your engine bay resprayed, you get your wiring redone, you get wheels, you get tires, you get everything you want at FMSpec. And it's not something that I just want one shop. I don't want to franchise or have different shops like Pet Boys, because once it's franchise, I believe that the quality is not there no more, because
Mm.
I'm not gonna be there to like look at the work and have inspections or have the quality control that I want. And it's something that like I thought about many times, like yeah, I should branch off or I should have like multiple FM specs, but at the same time it's like I don't, because it's not that I don't trust people, but it's just mostly that I don't trust people. Like they will pocket their money instead of like have more money in them than showing quality. And for me, it's just like I would like to have the customer have a better car than make more money in a sense. I want that customer to be happy with the car, like so. Okay, FM Spec could do this, and they could do it good, and not worry about one thing. And that's what I want in the future. Have one shop where I could do everything: Germans, Americans, Japanese, anything, stuff like that, like a resto mod shop. And that's something that I do want in the future. Hopefully it does happen, but who knows. But as of right now, I do want to focus more on engine bay restorations, like making it look all original, like your example, your car, how it's just like everything I took off, painted it, made it look everything nice, put it back, restored pretty much every part, and make it look original and perform originally. Like nothing wrong with that car. And
I,
that's what,
this is definitely coming from a non-business owner. Um, but I think eventually you're gonna have to get over that fear of trusting people, and you're gonna have to go through good and bad experiences. So that comes with growing pain. That comes with growing a business,
yeah, dude.
and sadly working with other people.
Yeah, and that's something like I'm. It's just it's always been since I started. It's always been me.
Mhm.
I've been doing everything myself. Everything I done on my cars besides the cord. That's the one I took it to the first paint job. I took it to get it painted. But besides that, I did everything on that cord. I did everything on that Prelude, and like I'm happy with the quality of those cars because I did it. I knew what I was doing. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew what bolt I was touching. I knew everything about that car, and like it's like cars. It's a kind of like a slippery slope in a sense that you could put so much work into one car, but it's not your car because it's the owner's car, and just to half-ass it or just to like throw it together and the customer drives it and something bad happens, it's like you're gonna feel you are gonna be accountable because you did that work on that car in a sense. Like I took this car to a shop and the wheel popped off and you crashed and you hit someone. It's just like you have to make it feel like, you know, it's stuff like that that it's just like, I don't want to, like you said, yeah, I had to eventually go to that part, but it's just something that I'm not trying to go there yet. It's just either that I'm scared or you know, it's just
Maybe it's not the right time.
yeah, it's not the right time right now because you know, like right now, like you said, I like what I'm doing right now. Like I'm happy where I'm at right now. You know, I'm growing a family. I'm having a business. I having a business that's a successful one at it, and I'm happy where I'm at. You know, like eventually, yeah, like if I see like I'm like a little bit short on cash or stuff like that, then that's where I was like, okay, well, let's hire more people. Let's do this and this and this, and to the point where sometimes a lot of people don't like being comfortable where they're at because they're scared to grow. And I'll be honest, I am scared to grow because so many things could happen. Like you could grow and I don't know, something could happen and then you fall back where you at or you fall back even worse. And
Well, we discussed that, but what if it doesn't exist? So eventually, I think once somebody that gives you somebody says something to you that gets engraved in your brain, and you're like, oh shoot, and
yeah,
that was the
and,
ass kicking that I need, and I'm now gonna pursue that.
and we had this conversation too. It's like I'm not. There's gonna be one of these days, like you said, there's gonna be a day where I work my car, and that customer is not happy with my work, and you know he's gonna put it on social media and stuff like that, and that's something that I don't want it to happen or happen at all. But eventually, it's you know he might not be happy with the work I did or stuff like that. You know, like it's just like something that is just consequences. You know, your reviews and stuff like that. And it's like it's something for me that I still haven't. Like we had this conversation. Like I don't care about what people say about me. Like I'm skinny, I'm short, I'm dark, or whatever. But what really does take to me is just like my craftsmanship, you know, working on cars and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, look at Francisco's work. It's crap. And it's just like, damn, like I took time and he's calling it crap. It kind of hurts, you know, because it's your work. It's your pride. It's your pride, basically. It's like, I'm not trying to be like prideful in a way that that's my work. And people might see it like that, but it's just not, I'm not trying to make it look like that. I'm trying to be something like, hey, this guy did the work and I want to be, you know, not recognized, but like it's like, oh, I want, it's like this guy did the work and you know, good for him, you know. But in a
Yeah,
sense,
well, yeah. I mean, we discussed that in terms that I told you. Like, it's now if, but when
yeah,
there will be somebody who blasts you on social media or personally,
mm-hmm.
and say that this guy's trash, you know, this, and this. But I've had this conversation, like even on Easy's podcast. I said, look, that's gonna happen. Like I've said it on the Washington Talks. I said it to many people. There's people that don't like me. People people that never met me don't
Yeah,
like me. You know, and people that have met me that don't like me. And I can understand why they may not like me, but that's not something that I'm gonna dwell over. Um, Especially if somebody that I really don't care, you know, to lose in my
yeah,
immediate circle. If it's somebody that I genuinely care, then I'm like, okay, I'll try and make it work.
yeah,
But the thing is, like, it's always gonna be somebody.
yeah.
And
No,
and
and like I said, it's like I don't care if they like me personally wise as a person. What I do care is just like the work I create. You know, like they might take it in the wrong way, and I'm just like, damn, like dude, like
but sadly, that's society, dude. Like
yeah,
that's society.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like you can spend 1,000 hours on a engine bay, right?
mm-hmm.
And you do amazing work, and then as people, we're gonna emphasize and focus on the negative things.
Yeah,
And that's why I constantly always say it, like when it comes to social media and as automotive anatomy keeps growing, like I appreciate everybody who subscribes and likes and comments, but no disrespect. Like I also don't hold you guys too high, because if I care so much about the positiveness, the negative comments really are gonna get to me. And so I definitely have to balance that out, right? And so that's in a way, although it's a similar thing, because you know we're both providing a service, right? Because this is interviews and podcasts is a service to somebody, right? Of entertainment or whatever. There's still going to be somebody who doesn't like it, even though we spend hours, you know,
Yeah, and it's
doing
something,
this.
and it's something like I told you, I have to grow on it because it's just hard because it's like this is I never been to meets. Like for me, meets was not something that I enjoyed. It's mostly for me. It's just for me going to meets is just like looking at cars because I never talk to like people or hear that because I'm not really a talkative person. For one, it's just like sometimes I feel like I can't express myself my feelings correctly because my speech therapy or sometimes I can't pronunciate right or it's just sometimes I just don't want to talk at all because it's like it's just personal, right? And so for me going to meets and stuff like that, knowing people and now that I'm meeting people and it's just like the stories are like it's just like damn, like I should have done this sooner because it's like the whole world is just like if like focus something on one car, everyone's gonna have that following, either which is the Cords, Civics, Integras, CRVs, or anything. There's gonna be a following for that car, and it's amazing, seeing meets and people going to those meets and talk about their cars and stuff like that. It's an amazing feeling. It's like, oh, I did this, and it's like, oh, damn, like that looks good and stuff like that. But for me, it wasn't like that. Like the first meets I went to was just like shit talking about your car, and that's why I got discouraged about going to meets at a young time. So for me, going to meets was like, uh,
And,
I did,
and and that's still going on to this day.
yeah, no, yeah,
I go to meets that the host of the meet is the first one to engage in that, and I would say, it's disappointing. I
yeah,
keep it to myself, but I think that it's a good opportunity to learn what not to be or who not to be, right? So I think the more you spend time working on your craft, stay on what FMSpec is and what FMSpec's doing, not necessarily caring about the toxic environment that
yeah,
could be that you could be part of. Once you start developing those customers builds, I've always said I think most of us want to strive to get paid more by doing the same or less in different aspects. And so I think the way your business is growing, it is hopefully going to develop into something major, right? Whether it's you get approached by a company to work with for a SEMA build
mm,
or Week Fest or something, and that's something that's gonna come in your lap, and you'll be like, oh shoot. At that point, it may not make you money, and that's something that you have to be okay with. We discussed this at length. There has to be something that you may have to spend a couple hours where you're like, shoot, like I'm leaving actual money making to go and this labor of build from a whole different perspective, but
mhm.
it's going to be showcased at some place, and maybe you just don't get any recognition out of it, but maybe you do. And so that's a whole different shebang of,
Yeah.
and then
And I get where you're coming from. I mean, for now, it's just like I said, when I started FMSpec, before I started FMSpec, I didn't go to meets. I didn't go nowhere because, like, I mean, I had nothing to show or nothing to prove. Like, I was happy with my cars. Like, I mean, if people didn't like my cars, like, okay, like whatever. Like, but now that I have something to show and to offer and stuff like that, I want to make that time to go, like, to show my work, to show this and show this, and that's why I'm now that FMSpec is a thing, I'm going more frequently to meets. I'm going here and there just to represent or to support the people that are making those meets because it's all about support. Like you want to support one thing, you want to support another thing, you want to support all these things. Like, and I want to support. Like I'm trying to go to different meets at the same time. It's just like sometimes for me my scheduling is wrong because like I have my cars at my mom's house and to take off to take out my car from my mom's house, I have to do a lot of things.
it's a process.
Yeah, it's a process. It's like an hour process to take them out. And sometimes when I have them out already, it's like, let's go to this meet. Let's go to this meet because I do want to support, but it's just like sometimes it's like, sometimes it's a hassle for me to go.
Hassle to get the car out, hassle to work it into your schedule because you are always on a deadline. You're always working on something. And then location, you're in the IE, and
Yeah, which is
a lot of the events are somewhere out here in LAOC. That's a drive. And now add family to it,
Yeah,
and it's like,
exactly.
fool.
I mean, and that's the thing is like a lot of people tell me is like there's a things like a lot of people tell me it's like you should start a YouTube channel, you should start this, you start this, and it's like I I don't want to start a YouTube channel. That's one thing. I don't. It's just I think it'll take time from the quality of my work because I have to set up the camera. I have to show them what I'm doing. I have to explain myself what I'm doing. It's just like it will take longer than just doing the work. And for me, I like doing the work. When I'm working on something and I get in the working stage of just focusing on one thing, I forget about everything else. Like my phone could be ringing and I'm just like wrenching or sanding or just doing like that. And sometimes you just I just zone out and I'm just working and working. Like when I'm doing engine base, there's a process. This is my process. Is I take out the engine and I start sanding. I'm prepping the engine bay for a whole week. Monday, Monday through Friday, it's all prepping, sanding, power washing, sanding, and greasing, sanding, and all that whole week is nothing but sanding. And that's when I get more in my zone and start sanding and everything because the engine is the dirtiest thing ever. So you have to make sure that engine is clean to paint. And then on the weekdays, on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, Saturday is prep again, taking up everything, making sure everything overspray stuff like that. And then Sundays where I come and start shooting the engine bay, and that's where it's just where
You're
I do.
nonstop. You're
Yeah,
nonstop, man. But and with that, I mean, also you have to learn how to take care of yourself
yeah.
and start balancing because now with more responsibilities at home, the soon-to-be wifey is going to be expecting that, and
Oh,
that's a whole different balance.
yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like this is where I'm thinking, just what I'm thinking is to start hiring people because it's like I could have them sand, I could have them prep, I could have them work, and on the weekends and not on the weekends I could be at home with my family, just relaxing with them and enjoying our time together. And it's something that I do want to invest, but at the same time, it's something that could go wrong fast. The
Well,
quality, the
yeah,
quality.
as we discussed that, as we discussed, I wish I would have started my business sooner. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
exist
The
until you
what
go through it. Yeah, so it's not it may not be the right time right now, and maybe there will be that moment where somebody comes and says, hey, like what are you doing, like or maybe that right person comes that you're like, man, I feel comfortable with this person, they're willing to learn, or they already know, they're personality wise we click. You never know, right? And so that's how you start scaling, it's growing the business, and you growing as a not only you know, business owner, but also now as a supervisor, and knowing that role, how to deal with people, because it's extremely difficult dealing with people, man.
Yeah, it is. Like I mean, I dealing with people I learned it from O'Reilly's. A lot of people. The first week when I started working at O'Reilly's, it was just like
Mhm.
if you don't have confidence in your voice, they're gonna walk you all over. They're gonna walk you like no matter what. But
Mhm.
if you have some confidence in your voice or you exactly know what you're doing, they will gonna trust you, even though you're wrong or stuff like that. It's just you have to have faith in yourself when you talk to people because people could just right away tell when you're scared or just making stuff up. But when you have the tone of like knowing what you're doing, knowing exactly what you're doing, and showing them what they need. It's just like it's a whole thing. That's where I learned from O'Reilly's, and that's how I knew how to deal with customers at O'Reilly's. Sometimes you have to be rude to get to their point, but at the same time, sometimes you don't. You have to talk to them nice, talk to them like you're showing them respect, and
Yeah,
mostly all my customers I talk to them with respect. I don't like besides you and some other customers we mess around stuff like that, but mostly all my customers that I don't know. It's just how's it going, boss? Like,
professional.
yeah, here's your card, like here's your invoice, here's everything. Thank you again. If you like the work, come back. If you don't, like I mean, tell me what's wrong. We can work something out. And I take pride in that. Like I mean, I don't want comebacks. Customers come back and be like, hey man, this is wrong. Or usually what I do is just like I make sure everything's good before I give them to the customers.
Well, how can you have comebacks when you don't take responsibility for any of the faults? Not kidding. I'm always messing with it because my AC compressor went out right after he did the swap, and I'm like, you put in a different compressor. My compressor wasn't making that noise. He's like, what? Come on. So now, but
no.
I get it. I get it, man. I think it's part of it, but I think the what if, should have doesn't exist, man. And
I know. I mean, it's just something I had to like the what if, like something I had to grow into, like had to overpass it. The what ifs, the whatnots, the
get over the fear.
it's just the fear, man. Like I mean, like I said, this is my first time having a business by myself and just throwing myself out there. Like I have like my parents don't own a business. I have no one that owns a business. Like I don't. I have friends that own a business, but I'm not. I'm not in. We talk, but it's not like, hey man, like give me your infos and give me all this stuff. And for me, I don't want it just to be spoon fed by everyone how to do your business. Because like I mean, in a sense, it's like you owe them a debt, and I don't want to owe no one a debt. I don't want someone to tell me. I don't want to hear someone like, oh, because it wasn't for me, FMSpec wouldn't happen. I don't want that because I don't. It's not for pride, but it's just I don't want to owe someone a debt. In
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, for me to fail, I want to fail and learn from that experience. Because once failing, you can see what you did wrong. You know what to do next and stuff like that. And like I mean, a lot of people don't like fail, and a lot of people fail. Like I mean, I don't want to fail yet, but like I want to learn from failing, and eventually it's gonna happen where I fail something and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna learn from this and do it all over. And it's the hard part to start all over because you never know. Like you might do it a different way and boom, right back at it, you fail.
Well, I don't think it's a fail unless you don't learn anything from it, right?
That is true.
So it's another experience that you are now going through. I mean, I think that goes for everybody. We don't give ourselves credit how much we've grown because every day you're just doing, everything you're just doing. But it's not until like I wish, sometimes we wish we could have like a recording of our life because if we were, I mean, I've done it. I've experienced things where like 5 years ago, the way I acted at let's say at work.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shoot, that was super unprofessional. That was super mature. At the time, I didn't like, man.
Yeah, sometimes the same thing, like some thoughts came to my head, like when I was in high school, I did something so idiotic, and it's just like I'm cringing.
I'm cringing. Yeah,
myself, like I can't believe I did that, like.
But it happens. It happens and that's what makes you. And
I mean,
and you quitting that job allowed you to, putting without 2-week notification taught you that lesson of like, hey, maybe when you don't burn bridges that abruptly, and otherwise you wouldn't have known. But dude, I mean, this definitely has been an awesome experience just to sit down and talk to you, for you to give us close to 3 hours of your time, especially with how busy you are with family, personally, and business wise. So, I wish nothing but the best to FMSpec. I mean, you've helped out so much. I mean, with the quality of work, and I can definitely assure you, like if I have any other stuff going on, I'll take it to you, and to see your business and your baby grow, and then you grow. It's going to be my pleasure to hopefully be a little bit of you have a lot of ingredients, and hopefully I can be one of those little ingredients that can assist in any other way.
You can start your own inner circle.
That was I have to say it. I'm not part of the inner circle, man.
Say it one more time. I'll believe you.
I was not part of the inner circle.
I believe you, man.
But yeah, man, I think it's time for you to go home, get some rest, hang out with the wifey.
Yeah. 7:30.
I'm telling you, man. And again, I hope this is not the last time. You're more than welcome. We have so many topics to discuss that we didn't get to. But
it was an all over podcast. Like I mean, it was. I like talking to you because talking to you sometimes opens my head, and I'm just like, all right, cool. Like different ideas and different like that. And like I tell you in car meets, and when I always see you car meets, it's like I really do like enjoying talking to you like one on one because you open like so many things like the what ifs, like like I gotta stop being scared of just opening myself out there and it's just talking to you opens a lot of things. Like it just makes me feel like I could learn a lot from you.
I don't claim to be 100% right because I'm not, but I definitely always like to hear somebody else's perspective. I like to hear their story, and I want to be able to pass on whatever I can. Like I told you when we were discussing, we were eating flame broiler at the back of my red car, Rosie, and I was like, man, I think you should think about scaling one time. Growing. You're like, nah, I don't want to do that right now. A lot of people now it seems like you need it. Like it's not even like if you want to. It seems like it's part of the business that you need to grow.
Yeah.
And so now here we are, right? And so now I'm not gonna be like, oh, you freaking liars. We're gonna have no like.
I told you so. It's just.
At the time, it wasn't the right time. Now, I think eventually you're gonna start because it also to say, oh yeah, I'm turning down jobs. I told you like, damn, it's not good, because
no, trust me, dude. Like, I mean, I feel so bad just telling them like, hey, boss, I'm not taking any work right now. And it's just like, really like, like I took my time to text you, and this is the time you tell me that I'm not taking any work. And
right.
Trust me, dude. Like, I feel bad texting people saying I'm not taking any work right now, or
that's weird.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
weird.
Like, and it's just like sometimes like trust me, dude. I want to take all the work I can. I want to take out the work. I did it once, and I'm not gonna do it again because it was the stressful week of my. It was just stressful. Like I was going to the shop at 7, coming back at 8. 7 was like a 10-hour shift, like the whole day, and like a whole week, 2 weeks, and I was just like, that's it. I'm never gonna do it again because you burn yourself out. Like that's where I realized, like taking in work, a lot of work is not. It might be money, but it's not gonna be helpful for you at all.
That's when you realize that money is not the whole end.
Yep. Yeah, money and dude, money like I don't know, man. I love money and I hate money.
Like, well, we need you to come back and have that conversation. So I think that's a conversation of its own that we can definitely have for at least an hour because it will tie into so many other different things. So yeah, hopefully you can make it back. Hopefully you can make it back.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many things to talk about, and it's just like I don't know, man. It's just.
I think you definitely whoever listens to this or watches this, I think you don't know how you're impacting them. Like you don't know how you're impacting them. You don't know maybe you say something that triggers something, and that's the ass kicking that they need, and be like, oh shoot, that was a physical spot.
Yeah.
So now I need to go do that, whatever that is, and it doesn't have to be mechanic. It could be a clothing brand. It can be whatever.
Yeah.
Or volunteering. It doesn't have to necessarily be money. But, like I said, man, I really thank you for your time. I'm definitely going to shoot you another invite maybe in a couple months because that whole money conversation, I think I want to have that too and see where we can go from there, man. But go home, get some rest, man. Thank you so much. Say thank you to the wifey for allowing you to, overstay your time here.
You see tomorrow with the black guy, don't ask questions, all right?
No, we won't. We already know who you. We already
know.
Gonna test, bro.
Makeup right now, bro. It's makeup.
That's what you're wearing. Like that's why you're under the lights. So
there's nothing I'm totally, bro.
But yeah, man. Thank you to everybody who listened up to this point. This opposite conversation obviously is not just about cars, about life, BS, good stuff, and hopefully you find something motivating and exciting. And I guess go pursue your own thing, and remember the what if, the should have doesn't exist. So make a decision. If it doesn't plan out the way you envision at first, pivot. It's okay. Things change. I think you have to be scared when you don't change. You have to be scared when you're comfortable, and when you're truly if it doesn't give you fear, you're not growing. So
I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Nailed it. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to say anything else, Francisco. Don't kill it. Don't make it like a story about the girl and dating.
Oh, dude, that one was
just kidding. It's words like, oh yeah, I don't want my wife to know.
You had to.
She was so pretty, and she.
Dude, it's just you had to be right there to like understand the impact it took.
The context. Yeah.
Like, I was like, after that, I was like,
yeah. If it would have been from a dude, it would have been okay.
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was from a girl. You made me like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, dude, and dude, I have so many stories about that. Like, it's just like,
Okay,
anyways,
we're not gonna get into those.
yeah,
That's on you.
we're not
For
gonna
sure, you're
start.
gonna have a black eye on that one.
Yeah, no, it's not even that. It's just like,
Uh-huh. Leave it at that, dude. You suck at just digging yourself in the hole. Just shut up. All right, Francisco. Drive safe. Take care of yourself, man. I definitely do appreciate your time, man. And we'll definitely catch you in the next one.
all right, man. Later, bro.